you say why? Know you got plans, but I got the time. Heard you told a friend, now I gotta mend a little bit more than we like to pretend. If it's alright, won't you say why? Tell me your sins and I'll tell you mine. Heard you told a friend, now I gotta mend. Give it a try, baby, pull the pin.
A mere 200 years. That's all it took for good humanity to fall. Kingdoms brought to ruin under the weight of gate-spawn creatures that they could no longer ignore. What brought the gates, they wondered? The ire of a god? Perhaps. A punishment? Or a gift? When one is saddled with survival, such questions become unimportant, and their answers lost to time. But from the fringes of extinction, humanity adapted, for they were not the only ones fighting this war. The few who could bound themselves to reflections, the creatures of Myrror. They drew on powers once unimaginable, now tangible. With it they formed the last pockets of life, the great cities, Manacle, Sunspear, and Deagrace. A small bird swoops down over the tarped wing of a skyship. Oh, sorry. It dodges the swinging mast as people scurry across the deck, tugging on ropes as the vessel passes through the large metal rings of the outer wall. Not far away, the city of Deagrace rises to meet its new arrival at the end of a small wooden skydock. A few more flaps of its wing, and the bird is soaring through the uninspired stone passageways, hidden plazas, and shallow-tended gardens of the great slab city. A small flock of its kin take flight past the running waters of the aqueducts and follow their lazy channels down amidst the looming white stone architecture. It finds a small market, shaded from the beating sun. Its passages sit draped in colourful tarps and hand-stitched tapestries, and lined by humble vendors, selling wares on small stools or blankets. It settles nearby, where an elderly man casts grains to the ground and watches in delight as a small flock begins to form, only for it to be chased away moments later by the playful shouts of children as they thunder past. We move to darkness. The sounds of creaking and sloshing can be heard as a small wooden bucket is slowly drawn up from a well. Beer. You've been sent as you often are to gather water. Living in Lowtown, you don't have easy access to the aqueducts like Mid or Hightown does. Most people here are stuck taking water back from a local well to fill a household basin, which is where you find yourself now. But you're not alone. Two other figures lounge about the well as you draw up water. A pair of city guards, one of whom you know well. Mallet Brightwick, the captain of your local district guard. If you know how to fight, then it's probably because of this man. As a boy, he let you train in the guard barracks, and he's something of a family friend. He leans against the well and lets out a small sigh to his companion. Can you believe that House Zather has increased the bounty again? Seems like they increase it a little each month, if you ask me. A foolish thing. No one will bite. You think so? Regardless of the offer, no working man stupid enough to rat on one of the Shadowhands boys. Perhaps, but it's not every day a magistrate is murdered in his own home. I'm sure the council will pin it on some poor bastard eventually. Fortunately, it's above my pay grade to think about, and as long as they keep their crime out of our district, the Shadowhand can do as she likes, I say. And the other guard takes a drag of a long cigarette. Malik frowns and turns to you. You really ought to start thinking about my offer to join the city guard, Vyre. Strong young lad like you could be useful amongst us with slackers like Reich dragging their feet. And the other man sort of snorts. He leans into you a little bit and lowers his voice. I know you've been saving the coin to take the test tomorrow. I truly am happy to cover what's left of its cost, as long as you agree to join the guard for a full term after, ability or not. It only has to be for a year. You'll be posted right in this district, right close to home. You can still tend to your mother. You are about 8 gold into a 10 gold fee to take a test that happens once every 3 years. A test that sort of determines whether or not you can bind to a reflection.
Do I feel like it's possible to recoup the remaining gold without being pledged to the guard?
Here's the problem that you see with this. Malik's been trying to poach you to the guard for a long time.
Yeah.
And as you've sort of worked it out, this wouldn't be a bad job. This wouldn't be a bad deal to take if you were supporting yourself.
Yeah.
But you're supporting your mother as well, and she is very, very ill, and she's getting worse. The herbs that you need to buy, you're finding that you need to buy more and more of them as time has gone on. And the money that this job would offer, being bound to it for a year, it's just not enough. And you don't know that your mother's going to make it to see the test in the next 3 years. The best way to get money and resources is probably to hopefully have an ability at your disposal and be capable of tackling gates.
Okay. And gates? What do I know about gates?
You do know about gates. Gates are a fact of life. Some phenomenon that happened hundreds of years ago that is now just something that you live with. Inside the great cities, it's pretty safe. Not a lot of the gates sort of trouble the people here. You get a couple in urban areas, but most of the time they're cleared pretty quickly. The real problem is that gates appear outside of the cities, and as humanity has sort of struggled to sequester itself to these little safe havens, the world outside has become basically overrun with them. Living outside of the cities is all but impossible. However, there are people who handle this. The Gateseekers Confederate, which is the alliance of all of the great cities and the organization that is both looking towards clearing gates, but also finding out what their cause is and hopefully putting a stop to it. So you would be very familiar. It is a very common thing.
Very, very cool. Okay. Hell yeah. Okay. So, just to recap the scene then. They've just said they're willing to pay the 2 gold.
Yeah, they're willing to cover the rest of the cost, but you have to agree to a full term working as a guard.
Sorry, Malik. I know you really want me to join, and given different circumstances, I probably would. But, well, there are people here who need me, and I'm afraid I'm gonna have to reject that offer. Though I would appreciate any tips if you know how I can get the remaining gold I need.
I'm afraid, actually, there might be, and as he's about to speak, he's cut off by a distant horn. You hear a distant sort of almost bugle blare from deeper into the city. And he sort of slaps your shoulder. Drat. The sky ships have come in already. Come on, Reich, that's our shift. You should get a move on too before the rush comes flooding in. Give your mother my best and at least think about my offer. And he sort of claps your shoulder and quite quickly begins to move off before he can finish his idea. You know that the market you live in is called the Tangled Traveller. Most of the time, it's pretty quiet and pleasant, and just a nice, colourful plaza. But twice per day, when the skyships dock, anyone who wants to get up into the city is more or less forced to pass through this plaza, and it causes absolute mayhem for about an hour. It becomes like a full-scale traveller's trap bazaar.
Right.
And if the horn is gone, you know it's coming, and you don't have much time. And if you'd like to finish getting this bucket to the surface, I'm going to need you to make a strength check for me.
Yeah. Well, as I see them really, turning, I assume I'm wearing what I normally wear, which is just a white shirt.
You're wearing
white
casual
shorts.
peasant's clothing.
Yeah, just trying to wear something trying to at least seem clean, because even though I can't afford like better stuff, I know that it's like in this kind of world you have to manifest what you want to become before you can even dream of touching it. So now I'm trying to appear as if like, yeah, I have money, I can afford like nice clean clothes, but sometimes those dreams have costs, and right now it's getting the water out of this well. So probably sweating under. Oh, am I in shade? You said I'm in low town. Does that mean there's lots of buildings up around me?
Yeah, so you're kind of at the bottom of what is effectively a city that has been carved out of a mountain to the point where it almost looks like you're living on obelisks.
Right.
And if you happen to live at the top of an obelisk, it's very, very nice because there's huge plazas. But a lot of this place is just like inbuilt channels and buildings actually like go into this section.
Okay.
You're in a nice actually open air sort of like plaza area between like two of these major obelisks. It's early evening, so the sun's sort of coming down and it has sort of cast a nice orange glow over the place, but for the majority of the time here it is slightly shaded.
So the airship is coming in. Where is that actually landing? So because if I'm in low town, does that mean the airships come down to low town?
The airships come down to like a lower dock, but to get up into the higher areas of the city, all of the traffic sort of channels through this one marketplace, which is.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Get into the.
It's okay.
There you go. I can hear you again. To get into the upper end.
So there are sky docks kind of dotted all up and down this great city. But one of the sort of like ones that has more activity is sort of like a small low town dock below you, but all of the activity from that
is going to come up.
It's going to come up through here, which is this market is effectively formed around this route because they can't escape.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the Tangled Traveler, where is that relative to me?
You're in it. So you're at sort of like the local well that's situated in this like major sort of like long street plaza.
Oh, so the Tangled Traveler is the name of this like plaza?
Yeah, the Tangled Traveler is the name of this plaza, and there's like a market in it.
Right.
It's also sometimes colloquially referred to as the Traveler Trap. But no one who lives here calls it that for good reason.
Right.
Wink.
Okay. And where's my house?
Yeah, you live sort of like slightly off the other end of the Tangled Traveler.
Okay, cool. In that case,
so you basically have to just make your way through the markets before the major parts of the flood come up.
What time of day is it?
It's like late afternoon going to early evening.
Okay, so I assume I'll be doing other in that case probably like sick with sweat. I'm gonna try and do my best to pull this bucket of water out.
Yep, you start like cranking this thing around. Make me a strength check, please.
Is this athletics?
This is athletics.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I asked. Like it makes a difference to me. It is a strength check. That's a 13. It's a good hard 13.
Nice. You manage to sort of get stuff up just as the crowds sort of like start to come in, but you know it's not much time before the floods sort of start to open. Even now, getting the bucket sort of like up into your arms, you start to see the signature shift in the environment of your home. Vendors that were sort of once lazily back in their stools are now like stood up and alert, and it is not long before your thoughts start to get drowned out by the sounds of like heckling and yelling and coaxing anyone who gets too close into buying some knickknacks or trinkets. So, for some context, your bucket has 6 health. I'm going to need you to make me another strength or acrobatics check, depending on how you intend to get through the crowd. Are you going to be shoving, or are you going to be trying to sort of like weave through the people here?
I think I'm going to be trying to weave through with the bucket, like trying carefully not to get like accidentally knocked.
Wonderful. Then make me an acrobatics check, please. The DC is slightly lowered because you managed to get it up before the major crowd comes through.
Nice. Let's hope it's lowered from 10 by 2, because I just got an 8.
Oh, okay. Can you roll me 1d4 for damage to your bucket, please?
Yeah. Oh dear, 4.
4. Your bucket takes 4 points of damage.
What were you going? I'd call out someone as they.
Yeah, as like a
bump
bit
into
of
me.
water just like sort of splashes out
Oh.
onto a group of people. The crowd has started to become like packed. You're kind of like you're taller than most people, even as like a young man, so you're sort of like immune to a lot of the bouncing that's going. But you can already see travelers being like systematically bounced and passed through to different vendors. You can tell pretty easily who here's not a local.
Can I try and use my knowledge of this place that I've lived in to try and find a less crowded route, or at least find a place that
Yeah,
crowds
you can.
slower?
You can make me the next check with advantage if you want to sort of like try to keep to sort of like maybe vendors that you know who will sort of like shoo people away and give you a bit of a leeway as you shuffle through.
Okay, yeah. Alright. Oh, am I there? 12.
12. You are pretty alright this time round. You're sort of like just moving. You manage to sort of slip to a little vendor who's not getting much action. They're sort of in the process of selling to someone, so there's like a slight pocket that you sort of slip through as you go through. A group of children sort of run under your leg as you're like trying to take a step over a crate. They have just like a handful of oranges sort of bundled into their shirts, and you can hear like a vendor yelling after them as they like scatter into the crowd. And you manage to sort of step out of the way of them. As you once again sort of like shimmy through. You can see sort of like the turning that you need to make. It's not far away, but already you can see like another flood of people being like dragged up this street. So can you make me a final check, please?
Yeah, just like, oh god, please, no. Is it God or gods here? How do we believe?
There was a religion once. There's a sort of like old god, but the religion has somewhat faded.
So we're all just atheists now.
Yeah, basically. You know, there are people who believe in like an old, effectively nature god, but they sort of live up in temples.
Is that also an advantage or?
Yeah, you can make that one an advantage too.
15.
15. Yeah. You managed to sort of like slip through. There's like you managed to get basically to the outskirts of this like flow of this crowd, and it's sort of thinning to the point where people are sort of moving away from you. As you see sort of like a sudden jarring in the crowd where it seems like someone has tripped over carrying something and it's sort of rippled outwards. And as you think, thank fuck, I'm in the clear, it's not you, but it is another figure who bumps into you that sort of causes you to stumble, and you really have to sort of like shimmy with this bucket, and you manage to stabilize yourself, but the other person is not so lucky. You see papers sort of go absolutely everywhere, and a young girl with long, sort of like purpley blue hair and tan skin goes ass over tea kettle just over your foot, full face plants on the ground in front of you.
Are they still on the? Do I know who they are?
She's like, oh, damn it. No, you have no idea who this woman is, but she definitely doesn't look local. In fact, you hear her curse in a language you don't recognize. She's wearing sort of like clothing somewhere between a sash and a cloak, and it's relatively knifed, but she sort of like almost starts to get a little trampled as she's like desperately trying to sort of gather up her things. She doesn't really have much of a presence in this crowd like you do.
Does it
And
look
she
like
just sort
she
of goes,
wants to
I'm
be
sorry,
helped?
my apologies. As she's sort of like scrabbling, and you hear sort of like the distinct clink of the fallings of coins.
I will put my bucket down reluctantly and help them.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I was meant to be taking a test here, but it seems I might have got a bit turned around in the chaos. As she's sort of
No,
like
it's okay,
going.
it's okay.
Isn't it always like this?
Tangled Traveller is always a messy time after the airships come in.
Oh, goodness. I practically got carried away before I could grab all my things. You wouldn't happen to be a local, would you?
Yes, I am.
You couldn't tell me how to get to Hightown, could you?
Yeah.
And she's like frantically shoving what almost look like scrolls back into her bag.
I might be able to take you up there at some point. Are you in a hurry? Do you mind if I just have to get this back to not far from here, just around the corner.
You see she sort of brings around her wrist, and there's this strange, almost like disc-like bracelet that she seems to check. I'm in a little bit of a hurry. And as she's sort of like bringing this round to check, you've both sort of like stood up and she's sort of dusted herself off. What's your passive perception?
My passive perception is 10 plus my. Well, I'm not. I don't know. How does this work? Because there's no proficiency.
I think it's 10 plus your whatever your perception is, so 10 plus wisdom.
Oh, okay. 10 plus wisdom is modifier, right?
Yep.
12.
That'll do it. You spot, basically as they're about an arm's length away from her, two little kids that you recognize, kind of street kids, that are a part of your home. Probably one of the two that were running away with the oranges earlier is sort of like sneaking up and weaving between the legs of people,
Okay.
going for her coin pouch.
I'm gonna like tactfully, maybe so that she doesn't notice, but like move around them in such a way to say like, no, this one's mine. I've marked them.
Yeah, you sort of like take their shoulder and sort of like move them around. She's like,
Sorry.
thank you. She brushes herself off.
I just don't want you to get knocked over again.
Do I have to make a break through this crowd to get up there? Because I really didn't see an alternative direction. I'm in a bit of a hurry.
I look at the water. Is it like house built? Is it recoverable?
Like, it's relatively okay. You're sort of like out on the edges of this crowd now. You've got sort of like, this is the divot that like leads into your home, so people aren't really going that way.
I assume these kids wouldn't take the water back for me, would they?
No, they're like gone. The moment that you've like taken the target away, they've like vanished.
Okay. I need to make a decision.
You know the place. You know the place well enough that you could give her directions if you wanted to.
Okay, I say, Tony, I can give you directions if you want,
That
or
would be so helpful.
I can even take you. Although, I need to take this back. So, if you, I'm happy to leave this here and take you there directly, but I probably need to be compensated for that. Or I can just give you directions and you can find your way. It's up to you.
Oh, well, I mean, I can compensate you for your time. I think directions will do me fine. I think I see a break in the crowd coming.
I nod. She gave me both answers to like. So,
Yeah.
do you want me to come with you, or do you want me to just tell you where to go?
No. If you know the directions to, I think it's called Whitechapel. That would be great.
Are you sure? Whitechapel is quite a distance from here.
I know, but I'm quite competent.
I nod. I didn't mean to insinuate otherwise. It's just, well, it's a busy place.
I can see.
Lots of little alleyways, you know. But I shrug. Well, okay then. I need to take this water back to my mother. So I take out like a. I don't have any paper on me, but I can just transcribe.
Yeah, she's got a lot of paper, so she
Okay.
can pull out like a little notebook.
I give her vague, like, you know, not vague, but like I give her as detailed instructions as I think are necessary.
Oh, perfect. That will be incredibly helpful. Thank you. Right. She sort of like almost fumbles around with her sort of like cloak-like dress and rummages and pulls out a small bag and sort of just plonks it into your hands. Thank you. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm panicking. Ooh. Oh, sorry. Where was I?
You were heading to Whitechapel?
Yes, I was.
You're sure
My-
you don't want me to
my-
come with you?
No, I'm quite Well, I've just been a bit turned around. She sort of checks her watch again
Yeah,
and seems to
fine.
panic a little bit.
I saw that.
Well, shit. This should cover your time. I'm sorry for
Okay.
taking it up. A break in the cloud. I'm going to take the opportunity. And you see she almost like full hightail sprints back into this crowd and very quickly starts almost getting pinball bounced a little bit up the street.
Well, I say.
Make me a perception
tourists-
check.
I will. I'm almost certain the kids are gonna like turn back on them. A perception check, sure thing. Bu- bu- bu. It's a 15.
A 15, that's probably enough. You see as she goes, the first time she sort of like bing, pinged off of someone, a small glint sort of rolls out of her disheveled bag and begins getting sort of kicked around by people in your general direction. And you also see a series of small figures moving towards it.
I'll go for it.
You go for it, make me a contested sleight of hand check.
Okay. Thankfully, I'm pretty good with this. Oh no, I got a nat 1. Hang on. If I, ooh, I'm trying to think of something I could turn this into an advantage. I know what I'll do. I will, to try and gain advantage, I will throw the rest of my water onto the crowd to clear them. And be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you mind if I... Can I do that?
You
Or would that
if
not...
you want to waste your water, you can. These are kids that you know. You know where they're gonna be.
Okay, then I'll just let them take it. And...
Yeah, you sort of like go for it, and very quickly you hear just like the malicious giggling of like kids as one of them swipes them up and like skitters off into the street.
yeah, just get that sign.
God damn it. And you continue on, sort of now safely out of the chaos of the Tangled Traveler. You return home with as much water as you were able to get.
Yeah. So like half full, or...
Yeah, it's relatively full. It's like taken a bit of a bumping. It's not as much as you would like to have. You're probably going to need to make another trip before the end of the day, but it's enough. You've gone back and forth several times today, filling up this basin. So this is like one of many buckets. And as you step away from the chaos of the market, you find sort of nestled in the end of a small inset in the wall, the small sort of there's a small patio with a beaded door, and above it, sort of carved into the stonework, you see Imelda's house for lost children. You pass sort of hand-painted ceramic pots which house sort of well cared-for shrubs, and a small group of young children sort of wave at you as they play hopscotch on a chalkboard. On a drawn chalkboard.
Yeah.
You push your way through the door, and you're immediately met with sort of the refreshing coolness of the interior of a building. And you place the bucket down by a half-filled basin. You see across the main room Imelda, a older woman who's always sort of been like a grandmother to you, struggling to get a wave of children to settle down and eat some food.
I'd probably walk over and be like, come now, if you want to get like big and strong, you're gonna need to eat everything up you can.
Immediately, several of them at other tables go, Vyre! And sort of run over towards you. You're sort of like the oldest child in a group of kids that are probably like half your age, if not younger.
Mm-hmm.
And they just sort of like running up to you and grabbing on your arms and sort of shaking it.
Careful,
They
you're
go, "Are you gonna
the
take?
water
Are you gonna take the magic test? Are you gonna fight beasts?" And one of them goes, "I could fight beasts. I could fight really strong beasts. I wouldn't be scared of them at all." And a younger girl goes, "You're scared of dogs, Ronnie. You wouldn't be able to fight them at all." And he goes, "No, I'm not. I can fight them better than you could. No, I could fight them better than you could." And it descends into sort of a chaotic argument.
I'll take the test, but I think you're gonna, if you want to fight beasts, you're gonna need to eat. I give kind of like Melda like a knowing look, and
She gives you just like a tired, thankful nod. And manages to that sort of shepherds them away as they kind of go to start eating, and immediately like one of them steals something off of another's plate. And again, it sort of descends into chaotic rabble. And Imelda comes over to you with a small sigh. "Ah, thank you for that. The children always get so excited around the time of the tests. All the new skyships coming in, you'd think they were bringing a circus with them."
Yes, well, talking about circus, you should have seen the trap out there. My
That is
bucket's
always.
almost empty. I got jostled around so much. I hate to think what the travelers experience. I mean, all kinds of
Best
things
leave
must
the
shake
chaos
loose.
out there.
Talking of that, actually, I mentioned like the kids. Something of someone I was helping fell loose. I think some of the kids got their hands on it.
Yeah, it was probably Nico. He's always got sticky fingers about him, that boy. I'm sure he'll be in later.
If you could help me get it back, I'd be appreciative.
She kind of gives you like a wicked look. You think that Nico's probably kind of afraid of her, and she takes just a little bit of joy in that.
I nod and say, well, the person was who they took it from is making their way up to Whitechapel now, and if they find out it's missing, let's just say I don't want the smoke to blow in this direction.
That's probably a smart move. Here, let me take that from you. And she'll sort of take the bucket, which seems a lot heavier to her than it does to you, and shuffles it over to the basin and pours it in.
Probably have to go again later, but should do for
Your
now.
yes, it'll do for the evening at least. Your mother was lucid earlier. I got
She
her to
was?
eat a full meal. Yes, she seems quite well.
That's good to hear.
I think she's still awake now, if you would like to. She sort of gives you a small nod over towards a sort of doorway that you know leads into a sort of it's a separate room that is specifically for your mother and you.
I nod appreciatively, and as I make my way over to the door frame, I look at the bag of money I was given.
Yeah, you take a peek in this bag expecting like a clump of copper coins, which is kind of the norm for travelers. And you are struck by a gold glint first and foremost.
Oh dear.
And as you rummage around in this is no small tip. Like, you're not entirely sure if they gave you the wrong bag, but there's fully 10 gold in here.
Oh dear. I know what's happened. Well, I better go get that thing from Nico fast. That girl was here to take the same test I am, and this was her funds. I open the door. Are you doing well, Mum?
Yeah, you sort of like, it's less of a door and more of like a beaded area, so you sort of push through the beads into a small side room. There's no sort of like glass to the windows here, it's just sort of like a small thin slit in the wall that lets some light in, with a small sort of silk curtain that blows a pleasant breeze into the room. And your mother, she is bedridden, but she's sat up, which is an improvement on most days. And she's sort of looking at a small fresh bundle of this like strange glassy flower, which is the herb that you have been using to slow her illness, and has been getting less and less effective over time. She's sort of spinning one of these flowers as she's propped up in the bed, and she goes, "You don't need to work so hard to buy them. You should be using the money for yourself, dear."
This.
And she sort of reaches out a hand for you.
I go over and take it and say, this was just getting water. No, don't you worry. I'm keeping some gold to myself. I've got to take that test, remember?
You do. Tomorrow, isn't it?
If everything goes to plan.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
I'm sure you'll do fine.
It's a bit of a long shot. I don't know what the success rate for the whole ordeal actually is, but I doubt it's high. You should see the people coming in on the airships. I wish I could take you. I don't know. Sometimes I think maybe someone like me doesn't have much chance, but
If you're anything like your father, I would dispute that.
well. What happened to my father? Do I know?
Not too much. You know that he was a very good gate seeker. You know that he was kind of like, he wasn't ever really like bound to any specific guild. He was very much like a solo contractor. He like took the jobs he wanted. But you know that he got good enough that he was scouted with his party for a very high level gate
Yeah.
that at some point was sort of thought to maybe like contain some clues as to what the gates were. It was like a big deal like back in the day, but you know that it went pretty south and basically no one in that party returned.
Don't you worry. I'm not gonna follow father's footsteps that closely. I'm not leaving you.
It's nice to hear. But I would like you to see the world beyond me. I am slowing you down somewhat.
You're not slowing me down. I kind of, like, squeeze one of her shoulders.
Yeah, she sort of reaches up and cups the side of your face and pulls you in for a kiss on the forehead. If you do get the chance to travel, take jobs elsewhere, you should take it. Imelda, she can take care of me. I'm hardly trouble for her.
I'm not leaving you alone. That's fine. Listen, I know things have been a little rough lately, but I mean, this could be where things turn around. If I do have some talent, some leftover gift from father, well, then maybe I can look into getting you some proper medicine, huh? I mean, this stuff was only meant to be, temporary. Sure, we can find something to help you get back on your feet. I mean, even with this stuff, you seem to be getting brighter.
She just smiles and listens. You see the sort of somber look of someone who's biting their tongue for their son. You think, though she tries to have hope for you, she knows that she's fading fast. But she gently sort of like brushes the side of your cheek as you speak. You're always good at putting people first. I'm sure you'll do well. Best you sleep before the day grows weary. And you can see, even as she's sort of speaking to you, it's becoming like harder and harder for her to keep her eyes open.
Hey, you get some rest, okay?
That might be for the best. Just for a moment.
And take a hand and like squeeze it. Look at me a second. And I like tuck her in, I think.
Yeah. And as she sort of like begins to drift off, she sort of squeezes your hand. And make me an Arcana check.
Okay. 18.
You're not entirely sure if your mother has an ability or not, but you know that on occasion she'll squeeze your hand and you feel like this sensation of like tingly warmth go through it. It's very faint. But she seems to smile as she sort of like slips into an almost like dreary state. You'll do great.
I won't be far.
And she sort of falls back into a less lucid state, and she starts to sort of rest. And you have a little bit of time. The sort of like orange light is very quickly sort of turning to a red, and you can still hear the bustle of the street outside sort of swelling in the distance. And it's as that sort of like sunlight is going down and you're sat in the room, you hear sort of a shrill voice outside going, "Check this out, huh?" And you recognize it as Nico.
No. I think Vyre tries to hold a good face as well, but I think he does generally find this very kind of like difficult to handle sometimes. So I think he kind of like wipes a tear away and like tries to stay strong, and then sighing and kind of like compartmentalizing, he kind of he turns and says, "Nico, is that you out there?" And he walks out into the main area.
Yeah, you sort of like step through the main building back out into that like outer courtyard area, which is kind of like a miniature makeshift playground. It's as close to a garden as you can get in a sort of patioed city of rock. There is Nico, he's not necessarily older, but he just has like more of a presence than the other kids, and he sort of like fancies himself as a bit of like a gang leader. And you can see in his hands, he has something that you would recognize, although not necessarily quite as large as a spark shard.
Hey, I kind of walk over to him.
Ah, come to see my loot, slowpoke?
Yeah, I'll admit it, you got that faster than I did, kid. You've got some real talent, you know.
I do. I get all of the cool things. And the vendors, they just can't keep up.
You realize
And like
that...
several of the kids are like, "That's so cool, Nico, can I see it?" And he's like, "No, that's mine."
Okay then, kid. What do I have to do to get it off you, huh?
Let's think, he says, sort of tapping it against his lip and taking a few steps thoughtfully around. You could give me some money, but I like this more than money, so you'd have to give me a lot. Or, and he kind of like shiftily looks left and right, you could put in a good word with that guard fellow who's your friend. I want to learn to fight too.
Well...
And he let you into the barracks, but he won't let me into the barracks after I stole that dagger. It's hardly fair.
I heard there was a position opening up.
Really?
And yeah, they've been trying to poach me for the spot. But I think, well, I mean, I look at the stolen goods. You could use a little bit of...
They need someone like
little
me.
bit of
He says,
order.
sort of like looking into the looking into the mirror shard. Sorry, the spark shard.
Yeah.
So you'll do it then?
Sure. You can come with me next time I go and see Malik.
He kind of gives you a suspicious eye for a second, and then he goes and fully spits on his hand and holds it out to you.
Okay. But listen, I might be busy. I have to take that test, remember? But I won't forget.
Yeah, I might be too. Well, geez, all right, fine. And you firmly shake on it, and he sort of reluctantly hands over this spark shard.
Thanks, bud.
And it, yeah, whatever. He kind of like shoves his hands into his pockets and sort of kicks a stone. But you can see a little smile like pushed up onto his face. Clearly happy with the promise as he like scampers off with the rest of the kids and starts playing a game.
Oh, man. I look at the thing.
You're holding a spark shard, but it is probably the nicest spark shard you have ever seen. You're sort of looking at it. It's got this like weird sort of like bluey sheen in the way that it reflects light from it. And it's properly, usually they're like the length of a finger. This is, you'd have to hold it in one hand.
Oh, wait a second.
It's pretty
Bluey
chunky.
sheen. Are these color coded? Oh my god, this is expensive, I know it. Oh dear. I think to myself, oh, for God's sake. I put it into a bag. And I turn and say, I'm heading up to Whitechapel.
During the rush, it'll be a bit hard to find anyone going through there.
Well, take a side route. I'd say.
And all right. Be careful, though.
I'll see if I can get another bucket of water on the way back, okay?
Good lad. And Imelda sort of goes back. Stop throwing your peas! As she scampers back off into the, like, managing the kids.
I'm gonna push out into the main thoroughfare. And then
Yeah, you do.
I'm going to kind of look for, like, I know the way. I've walked up here probably less
Yeah.
often, but I've been around.
You know Lowtown. You know your district.
Like, yeah, is Whitechapel in Lowtown? I assume that's not in Lowtown. It's
No.
in Hightown.
You know it's in Hightown. And that
Yeah.
is a several-hour trek.
Oh really? Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else I should be doing?
It's getting pretty late. You
Will I be able to
make me
get
an
there
intelligence check.
before it's like midnight?
You could get up there early evening. It's just a case of once you've gotten up there are so many different like routes she could have taken. The idea sort of comes to you, if she was taking the test, she'll probably be in the same place as you tomorrow.
That's a good point. But should be yeah. But the thing is though, I still need to get 2 gold because she'll want her money back, and like I can give her 10 gold back. That's fine. I don't want any smoke, but I do need a little bit of juice, a little bit of moolah. Do I have any friends in the market who are willing to like pay a helping hand?
Yeah, I mean, this is generally how you've gotten your money thus far.
Yeah.
You know a lot of the vendors here, and you help out with them, but understand that you have built up this 8 gold in coppers, right? This is
So
this has been like the last 3 years you have managed to save up this much.
So what you're telling me is that I could be cooked.
You're struggling. You're starting to feel the panic.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. If I don't do this, my mother is going to go crazy. Oh no, no, I won't be able to support my mother. What am I saying? That's terrible. Oh no. Oh. I can't. Think. What would I do? Well, I think to myself, this is the big rush. Stealing is obviously not something I'm going to consider right now. But if that girl was able to drop a few bits and pieces, then there's a good chance that others will have done the same. Maybe I could scrounge something up. So I'd go back into my room and find like the little hidden compartment where I store my stuff that I don't want kids to get access to. And I put the gold and the shard in there. And I like
you've got a little flagstone that you can like lift up and put stuff in it, but you put your like boots on top of it, and all of them know not to touch your shit.
Yeah, I like to think the flagstone is heavy enough that the kids literally can't lift
Yeah,
it.
almost certainly. You have like a lot of like if you wanted an army of children, you've got these kids 100% behind you. They idolize you.
Oh yeah, child soldiers. Let's go. I'm going to
You've got your arrow boys.
Arrow boys unlocked. No, I'm gonna probably head out and be like, on second thoughts, I'm just gonna head into the plaza. I'll probably meet the person I saw earlier tomorrow anyway. Be easier that way.
All right, don't stay out too late.
I'll be back before things get too dark.
Mhm.
I have to be well rested for the test, right?
Yes, you do.
And I head out.
And you head back out. Do you wait any amount of time until the rush is over, or do you?
Well, the rush is kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for
Okay.
in the chaos. Is anyone dropping anything of value that I can scavenge, like in the same way that Nico had?
You couldn't try. The trouble is, the moment that a coin hits the floor here, there are several groups of
they're
like
already
street kids
deployed.
that are smaller and probably a
Faster.
little faster than you because they can go between legs. They get there, but also,
It's like
A lot
difficult
of
terrain, but they don't get the difficult terrain.
yes,
Yeah.
it is. And a lot of people, if like their coin pouch is going, it's either going to a vendor or the whole pouch is going.
Yeah.
So you can scrounge around a little bit. You see a vendor who's got like a little fruit stall that you know. His name is like Monley. And he's currently like moving heavy boxes. You might be able to get like a small job with him if you wanted some extra coin, but you think it's going to be pretty hard to scrounge coins amidst the rush.
I have an idea.
Mhm.
I go over to Monley.
Ah.
I know them well.
You know them pretty well. You don't necessarily know them personally, but like you've worked at their stall a few times. They're
So-
effectively like your neighbor.
They wouldn't be willing to bet.
Probably not.
Okay.
He's like, as most of the vendors here are, very interested in keeping their money and
Right.
selling what they can.
Okay, because I was just thinking, like, one thing I could do is propose a bet along the lines of, like, give me 2 gold now so that I can take the test. If I fail the test and I don't get an ability, I will pay you back, double what I asked for. And you know I'm good for it. Like, do you reckon he would, like, be up for that kind of bargain, or no?
I mean, you might be able to persuade him. He's not beyond, taking an interest in crude sort of like bet.
I'll see how he is first. I'll see if he's up for it.
You see he's like in the midst of like yelling at people. He's like, oranges, fresh oranges, two copper apiece. And he sort of like he always has to like break for breath between yells, and he goes, hello Vyre, you come to help out?
I am after some coin, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get enough.
How so?
Well,
You're a little tight on cash with the herbs you need to buy.
it's the big test tomorrow.
Oh yes, of course it is. Get your hands off of those melons! And he sort of slaps someone's hands away who's trying to nab one of them.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you've got your hands pretty full there. Is there anything I can do to help out?
Well, if you fancy lifting some of the heavier crates, we need to restock on the tomatoes over there. And, oh god, someone's messing with the bags of pineapples. Oi! And he almost, like, sort of walks further along his stall.
Yeah.
And you know generally he's good for if you carry some things around, he'll pay you a flat rate of copper.
Yeah, but that's not gonna do it, is it?
That's not gonna do it.
That's not gonna do it at all. Okay. What do I know about shards?
You would know that they come in like various qualities. Yeah, they come in colors and they come in various qualities. And you're not really sure. You have no like expertise in identifying them, but you know sort of generally shinier is probably more.
Yeah. So my question is there any way to sap some of the energy out and sell that for 2 gold? Like,
No.
I don't know.
You know that drawing energy from a shard draws all of the energy from a shard at once.
Okay.
Mhm.
In that case, I could probably buy it, but I don't know. I feel like that's probably going to destroy the shard, isn't it? I could rely on the generosity of that rich girl helping me. If I give her her stuff back, maybe she'll let me keep 2 gold, but maybe she wouldn't, and then I'd be fucked. Okay. Panic. I think, can I try to think of an idea? Any way I could scrounge up the remaining gold? I must have had some plan.
You didn't.
Okay.
You were doing the very best you could with the means that you had.
Who hosts the tests?
Do you know that it is probably someone on the High Council that like manages organizing them?
Okay.
And then it's the Confederate basically that sponsors these tests.
Can I take a loan?
No.
Okay. So there's no bankers or anything willing to give me a loan. I guess I'm just a kid from Lowtown. Fuck. I'm from Lowtown, guys. Oh no. Okay. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna clutch it out. That's all I can do. Can I just I guess
You just hear like
if
the thunking of a knife as he's like over there frantically cutting up a pineapple for someone.
I'm gonna ask him if I needed 2 gold for the test tomorrow, and I give him like a die look. Do you know how I could do that
How you could do it?
without breaking laws?
Well, that's a bigger problem for you, boy. Unless you're owning one of these stools, I'm afraid you're probably fresh out of luck making that much money in that small amount of time. Though, he kind of thinks a little sketchily. Unless you plan on getting yourselves involved with the Black Hand Slow Sharks, I wouldn't recommend it.
Eesh. I'd be losing. I'd be getting 2 gold, but won't I be losing? Probably best to stay away from the loan sharks, right? Surely.
I would think so. Well, they're a troublesome bunch, and we're glad that they stay out of our district.
So, what do you know about the Shadow Hand?
The Shadow Hand? Oh, big crime boss lady. I'm glad not to know her personally, he says, sort of like gesturing with a knife. And then he goes back to like, shudunk, cutting up fruit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, makes sense, right? I mean, I heard there's, a magistrate was murdered. I've just got something at this point.
That old news. Yes, the magistrate was murdered. It was all a big hoo-ha about a year ago. Honestly, I do wonder how far they're going to push it before their bounty's on the table.
What do you mean?
Certainly not anyone from Lowtown.
Oh, I see a bounty on the Shadow Hand.
Yeah, well, they're looking for members. They're trying to find the people who done it, and they reckon it was members of the Shadow Hand, but, well, you know how people from Hightown are. They think they can slap a price tag on things, and all of a sudden their problems will be solved, but there's a reason no one rats out the Shadow Hand around here, boy. You disappear.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me twice.
Besides, they won't catch him. It's been too bloody long. Whoever did it's fully gotten away with it, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, they could be on an airship and be out of here.
Exactly.
Oh, well. Dang, I really need that 2 gold. You wouldn't be willing to make a bet of your own, would you?
What kind of bet?
Well, give me 2 gold now, and if I fail the test tomorrow, I'll pay you back double and work. I mean, looks like he could do with an extra hand around here.
He does look over to, you see, a huge fucking, stacks of orange crates, that seem pretty heavy to a man whose, arms, you can see, the aging sort of, where the skin's starting to sag around his bones. And he kind of winces a little bit. You are someone who is, a part of this community, and he does feel for you. It's not a small sum.
If I do pass, and you lose the 2 gold, well, I happen to know a few helping hands. You might be able to get some cheap labour. You can probably convince some of the kids to come and help out around the stand.
Not sure I would trust some of those children that you sequester yourself away with a lot of my wares. 2 gold would cut off a lot of my supply for the next day. That's a lot of missed business. And if you can't get 2 gold now, I'm not sure how you're going to be able to pay back double.
Well, over a long period of time, I guess. But think of it like this, you'd also have a friend with a reflection, whatever that might mean.
Maybe you could telekinetically move crates for me. That would be useful.
I grin.
And he sort of poof, stabs the knife down into the sort of cutting board. And you see, for a second, he, almost pulls, a shutter over, one half of the stool. You're lucky I like you, boy. And he shuffles like into the further point of the stool and sort of unbundles a bunch of sort of tapestries from a small basket to a lockbox. And he sort of opens the lid, and you can see there's like maybe about 5 or 6 gold in there.
Today's earnings?
You're not sure.
Okay.
And he'll pluck 2 of them and relock the box. And it's almost painful for him. And you will get this back to me.
I nod. If I pass or lose, you'll get your money back.
Bloody hell, alright. And he will give you the 2 gold. I know where you live, he says, sort of like holding up a little dagger. His little like cutting knife from out of the block, and he lifts up the sort of shutter again.
Well, I'm soon to earn the favour of somebody who's ludicrously rich, I'd say. Hopefully I can get your money back tomorrow.
That would be bloody good of you. Now move those melon crates!
Sure, I suppose I can help around now. I've got this figured out. And I'll move the melon crates.
Yeah, and it is grueling. He definitely gets his money worth out of you as you spend the next like just hour amidst the noise and the heckling and the heat as the sun like begins to set, and you're moving crate after crate, and when a crate gets emptied, you're taking that back and you're putting it back and refilling other stock into it. And it is pretty efficient. You are probably one of the stronger people in the markets, so it's while it would be like probably too much for a normal person, you handle it pretty well, and you think that might be the reason that he's willing to give you that much leeway. You're a good worker.
Yeah.
And as the day sort of like comes to a close, you see the flow sort of like of people turn to a small trickle, and again the market sort of returns, almost like 2 sides of the same coin, to this like quiet, peaceful, like small night market. And he sort of wipes a hand across his face and wipes the sweat from his brow.
Yeah, I imagine like
and holds
lots of sweet fruit and stuff. How are things in terms of insects and stuff here? Like, are there lots of flies and stuff? Like, how are we looking? Like,
there
even
are
in,
like
well-kept places.
Yeah.
There'll be like, I mean, these are like citrus fruits, and so there's gonna be bugs.
Yeah, there's like definitely a situation with fruit flies around here, but especially at night, a lot of the vendors have like quite bright lanterns, so it almost like draws them away from a lot of the stuff and gives a little bit of relief. It's a lot more of a problem in Lowtown than it is in sort of like Midtown and Hightown, because you are sort of like built into a mountain, and the higher up you get, the more sort of like the climate becomes less appealing to them. And when there's so many fruits down here, why fly that high, right?
Exactly.
So you're sort of like, the sun's gone down, the lanterns are sort of going there. You can see the little moth-like insects beginning to coalesce around them as a quiet, like pleasant hum returns to the market. And he sort of claps your shoulder. Well then, I expect 4 gold or your eternal loyalty until you've paid it off tomorrow. Good luck, kid.
So just to clarify, I if I pass, I only owe him 2 gold, right?
Sure.
Yeah. You'll get your money back one way or another. Don't you worry about it. You know I'm good for it.
Yeah, well, if you happen to pass with a good enough ability, you'll be grinding out gates. I'll expect more than a tip.
Well, I'll come by some fruit if I somehow manage to turn around my fortune.
Ha! Good lad. Give your mother my best. And he, again, sort of like clasps your shoulder.
I nod and say, she'd like to hear about it. I think what I meant to say was like, she'll like to hear from you. Yeah.
Perhaps I stop in a bit of fruit, a celebration. But only if you pass.
Of course. Well, I better
Go on,
get some
get
rest
out of here.
then. I'll see you
Yes,
tomorrow.
and he sort of like shoos you off with a sort of weaselly little grin on his face. And you hear the sort of like of shutters sort of like closing in over these market stalls.
Are these like metal shutters?
No, they're like wooden shutters.
Okay.
They're sort of made of sort of like strung together flats of wood.
I'll make my way back to the house.
You do. It's pretty quiet now. You know, it's sort of past the point where most of the kids have been sort of tucked into bed. And this is sort of the time where you and Imelda and your mother are sort of the only ones out and about. And she's sort of collecting up plates as you get in. She gives you a small smile and a nod, and is sort of washing them at a small bucket by the basin.
Took a bit of a risk today, but I think we're good to go, I say to Myrror.
You made up the money, did you?
Somehow.
Don't get yourself in trouble.
The only person I'll be getting in trouble with is the guy who runs the fruit stand.
Oh, he's sweeter than he lets on.
I'm aware. Without him, I'd be in trouble. But, well, if I fail the test tomorrow, I'm gonna have to do a lot of lifting oranges. Let's just put it like that.
At least you'll be close to home.
Exactly.
I think your mother will like that.
She likes oranges. And, I give her a nod. I'd probably just, like, help her out with stuff if she needs it until, like,
Yeah,
I get
you
tired
help
and then
her
I go to
through.
bed.
You help her clean the plates, and like 3 plates in, she very much like tries to shoo you off. Like I could handle this, even though it's like clearly sort of like she's had to move from like the floor to the edge of the basin because of her knees.
Dang.
But she's very adamant that she can do it herself. And
Forgot to get more water. Is that going to be a problem?
no, we were all right in the end.
I
Now
know.
go on, get yourself some good rest. It's a big day for you tomorrow.
All right. I'll say goodnight. And I would head into my room, and I would place the last 2 coins, 2 bits of gold, into my stash.
Absolutely.
And just check that it's all still there.
Yep, it's all still there. No one's touched your shit.
Good. And then there's so much in there now. 20 gold. That's an insane amount. However much that shard is worth.
Yeah.
That's like more money than I think I've had.
It feels wrong to look at.
Mm,
You're not sure if like this is okay to have.
I'm like, damn girl. I worked for probably years or maybe a year. I don't know how much time have I been grinding up 10 gold.
Probably over the span of like the 3 years. It's not necessarily that like you've been making a tiny amount. It's more that the cost of the herbs that you've been trying to get for your mother is just cut so heavily into it.
It's just like minus upkeep and cost of living. Like the amount I have left over isn't very little. Yeah, that makes sense. I'd nod and say like, that damn girl coming and dropping 10 gold on my lap the day before the test. If I was a different person, I shake my head. And then I move my bed so it's like over the flagstone, like a little bit.
Yeah, there's just like a grinding noise.
And then I go to bed.
And you sort of thunk into bed. And roll me a Constitution saving throw.
I'm poisoned. Bad fruit.
It's that bad fruit. It's them fucking fruit flyers, man.
It's interesting you make me roll this. You know, like normally when I ask for con saves on sleep rolls, it's because I'm saying who wakes up first, but it's just me here, so what does this mean? 16. Am I poisoned?
16. You're not poisoned. You have a pretty good night's sleep. You're not interrupted by any sort of restlessness. I think, you think it might have been a bit of a rougher night if you hadn't exhausted yourself working at the fruit stand. You're a little nervous, and honestly, the stress and then the sudden lifting of that with a load of 2 gold has been a huge weight off your shoulders, and
It
you
is.
get a very good night's sleep.
Yeah.
And you're up relatively early. You're probably up just as like a few of the kids are sort of like dragging themselves out of bed, and there's like small conversation going on as they're sitting waiting for food to sort of like emerge. And
There's a big temptation. I would find one kid, actually Nico, I guess, and I'd pull him aside and I'd say, "Can you keep a secret?"
of course I can, boss. What do you need? Do you want me to steal something for you? I can get it.
No. Check this
sure?
out, I say, and I would I have it in my bag. I let my bowl is currently empty. I finished eating. I just pour 20 gold into the bowl.
Oh, where did you get that from? You have to have stolen that!
No stealing here. I put it back into my bag quickly.
You're a part of a fucking gang, aren't you? I knew that. I knew that guard was rotten. I could see it in his eye.
No.
Tell me, you working with the Shadow Hand?
No, God, no. I'm just... I'm tired of... Spent the last 3 years earning this through legitimate means, I'll add. Although the last 2 gold was a bit of a gamble.
And he gives you like a knowing wink. Legitimate means. I get it.
I'm staking my success in today's tests on having to spend the next 3 years working there. So, that's just... Well, I suppose what I'm trying to say is, whilst I go out and do this big test today, I need you to step up for me. You want to go and join the guard. I need to know that you're able to look after people. So watch out for the kids whilst I'm away, right?
He seems like momentarily a little taken aback that you've given him this trust, and he sort of like snivels his nose and can't quite make eye contact. And he's like, "Yeah, I can handle that."
You're fast. I see you've got promise. So you steal things from time to time. We'll probably need to change that. But the guards, they'll
Hey,
take
who
that out of
doesn't?
you, or you'll
Who
shoot
doesn't?
something out of them. We'll find out. But for now, I need you to just do this for me.
Sure thing.
Okay. And I kind of point at him as I like stand up from the table and say, after this, when I come back, I have to pay off a debt, and then I'm gonna take you to go see my guard friend, okay?
Seems like you got a lot of favors to catch up on.
You're telling me how...
He pokes his tongue at you and sort of like pulls his eyelid down.
It's almost as if they don't want people from Lowtown taking this test.
Well, you show him, alright?
I'd certainly try. And, yeah.
And he pretty quickly goes over to like another table of kids, and you see him like put his hands on his hips. Did you hear that? I'm in charge. As you sort of get out and leave.
Alright. And I wave goodbye to them as well.
You do, and you get a lot of goodbye waves as you sort of go to check it out.
And I just tell them I'm off to take the test, and off I go.
Off you go. Yeah.
I'm kind of on edge now though, because here's the thing, right? If I'm a thief and I'm looking to make gold, I'm going after test takers. And the other thing, I have one advantage. I don't look like a test taker. I'm just a low town guy in white shorts and t-shirt, right? The only way people are going to know I'm a target is if they know me specifically, and they're like, he's taking the test today, and so he must be carrying 10 gold on them. So I've got my hands in my pockets, and in one of those hands, gripped firmly, is like a pouch with 20 gold in it, and like the other hand has like a shard in it, I guess. And I'm nervous because
Mm-hmm.
this much gold, it feels like it's burning a hole in my pockets. So I'm like,
Uh,
please, not me.
And you
Do not
are
let me
not
be a
the
target.
only nervous person as you make your way up through Lowtown and find yourself joined by just like more and more crowds of people, probably roughly around your age, who all seem to be heading upwards in the same sort of direction. You sort of like weave through the almost like tunnel like streets and then out onto different like plazas that then curl up the side of these square buildings and up and interconnect into like other raised areas. You begin to actually see some of the like channels that run down either sides of roads of the aqueduct system that flows through sort of Hightown and Midtown.
Hmm.
And you know that you're heading to a building called Whitehall.
Oh, I kept calling it Whitechapel. I'm sorry.
She called it Whitechapel.
Oh, I see. Um, well, I'd get on real close to that place, and I'm looking out for this girl because I'm like, for God's sake, she'll
Yeah,
be the one who's like looking terrible. I'm guessing because they lost their gold, right? Surely they're.
You are like trying to scan this crowd as you go through, and you are taller than like a lot of people here.
But I'd say I'm also I'm paying like the girl as a bonus.
Yeah,
But
you're keeping your hands on your.
Yeah, like my main priority is to get and to take this test.
And I think surprisingly, as you get sort of up into Midtown, you do like catch on occasion out of the corner of your eye just like a person sort of like leaning against the wall of an alleyway and little bits and bobs. Probably more so than there are, at least in your district of Lowtown. Mainly because you think people here probably have more money to steal.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like
but
as I go more and more up, there's more and more gold to get.
And I think as you're sort of watching, one of these sort of people does sort of like turn for a second, makes eye contact with you, and you see there's sort of almost a moment of gauging where, seeing your hands in your pocket, they almost like mutually clock an individual who knows what's up. And they sort of like turn and slip back into
I was gonna,
the
probably
crowd.
like if we lock eyes, I'd just probably like give them a little nod. Like, a little
You
knowing
do.
nod. Just like, please don't fuck with me, man.
And make me a quick perception check as they like
Yeah.
turn back into the sort of like shadows of the crowd.
I am also like wearing a short sleeve t-shirt, so hopefully they can see that I'm not like some weak guy and that I can like at the very
You're
least
like,
punch someone
fuck.
if they come at me. What am I making?
And just a perception check.
Perception. Sorry, yeah, cool. That's a 16.
16. You see as they sort of like turn away, on the side of their neck is what looks like the beginnings of a tattoo of like maybe fingers,
Shut a hand then.
and they sort of slip back into the alley. And you move, especially through Midtown, pretty undisturbed. Once you get to Hightown, you start to see members of the actual Confederation, like effectively royal guards. You see like the Day of Grace Confederate guards starting to be sort of like posted at the entrances of like alleyways and around the rings of plazas. And the presence of these sort of shadowed people definitely move away as you get up into Hightown. You eventually reach this like beautiful sort of like wide plaza called the Crown. It's got like this lovely sort of like cultivated half garden in the center and a large fountain, and at the very far side of it is a like beautiful skydock. This one is like properly made of stone as opposed to the ramshackle stuff. And there are some very nice skyships docked here at the moment. Several of them are being unloaded onto the edge.
I eye them with like, I guess like awe, and just like, these guys. I think back to my friend at the fruit stall who's like got like 5 gold, and then I look at these airships that must be worth thousands of gold. I'm like, man, they really do look different, huh?
And as you sort of like get up here, this isn't the tallest place in Day of Grace, but it is pushing on it. The next sort of like section up is where you get like the proper guild halls and the palace basically. And you look to the opposite side of this plaza, and you see the large ornate building of Whitehall. It's kind of carved very beautifully out of white stone, and you think it might have been a church at one point, but it's now sort of turned into a bit of a government building. And crowds of people your age are sort of gathered in this plaza, talking in small groups. You hear the buzz of nervousness and excitement, but also as you're sort of like wandering around looking for this girl, you sort of start to hear a bit of rumor sort of buzzing about. And you catch one sort of like better dressed lad with sort of like slick back brown hair, almost like quietly boasting to a group of his friends, and he pulls back his coat to show a shard, and it's a little shinier than most that you've seen. And
Even the
maybe
one that I was
a
saying.
perception check. No, it's less shiny than yours.
Ooh. I'll make a perception check. Sure. 18.
Yeah, as you sort of like walk past him, you like fully hear his like he's trying to be quiet, but he's also kind of like feeling the attention. He's everyone knows they give you weakened spark shards to test with, the lowest of the low. After all, why waste high quality shards on people who might not be able to bind to a reflection in the first place? But well, maybe there's a reason high rank reflections are so rare. It's just that. The shards people use to test, they're too weak. Well, I, for one, intend to hedge my bets. And he's met with sort of like a mixture of like impressed sort of sounds and concerned murmurs from his peers.
Yeah, I think to myself as well, is there truth in that? I mean, the girl, she's rich and she had a pretty juiced shard. What color is his shard? Out of curiosity.
With an 18, I think you probably catch a glance of like pink.
Pink. Okay. Metagaming a little bit, but that's not so bad. Pretty good in terms of upper value. I have no idea what the economy of this is or what the rarities are. But if it's anything like the Rathadel stuff, then sheesh. Artificer stuff, that's pretty good. Let's go to, hell yeah, I'm looking for my guy. I'm feeling a little bit more calm now I'm this close to so many guards.
Yes. This is clearly an area with like some government business going on now.
So before it was like 80-20, like to 80% of keeping myself being scammed to 20 being like looking for the girl. Now it's shifted to more like, like 60-40, 40% going to finding this girl.
Oh, sorry. I should have let you think. You are sort of like looking around for this girl, but your attention is sort of like your search is half interrupted from the clink of a staff hitting stonework floor. As you see a sort of like older, wizened man in the white and gold robes of the Confederation, almost begin to sort of start talking to the small groups as he passes them and heads up onto a small podium that's been sort of set up for him. And he clears his throat. Welcome, examinees. We will be starting shortly. If you could all make your way into the hall, that would be appreciated. There are no assigned seats, so please take your place where you're most comfortable.
Sheesh, okay, yeah.
And people
heading in.
Yeah, people begin to move towards this like very large, ornate, sort of white and gold building.
Yeah, is there like basically I'm looking for the point where you pay.
Yeah, they will. You haven't reached that point yet. You come into this building, and they very, very much have. You can see where like maybe there used to be pews, which have now been sort of like taken away and replaced with a series of almost like prayer mat style pillows. And there are hundreds lined up here.
Wow, this is a big
And
church,
people. It's big. It's like you're looking upwards and you can see sort of they have a glass ceiling that's letting in light, and it's maybe a good 100, 120 foot above your head. and up the sides there are just like you see statues of what you assume must be like older depictions of the sovereign ruler of Dea Grace and their predecessors, sort of like lined up around the walls here. And there's a large sort of like stained glass window of just like intricate, almost sun-like pattern work.
I think again that feeling of should I be here begins to
Yeah.
creep into my psyche.
And even like keeping your clothes clean, as you have, like you almost begin to feel like
here, I
dirty
start to
by
look more, yeah,
more and more shabby.
yeah. I think I start to feel that as well.
But you do you choose a seat sort of more to the front, to the like where in this place you want to put yourself?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to, because obviously what my character would be really worried about is like how does this work from a financial perspective? Because that I want to get that part. Like, do I get a ticket once I pay, or is it like you pay and then it happens, or is that like, or is this like a poor person mindset? Probably is, but as a poor person, I still want to know.
Yeah, you see pretty quickly as people start like sitting down. There are almost like these almost monk-like figures in similar robes to the older gentleman that you saw.
They come and take collections.
Yeah, moving to people who are like and taking payments from them.
Yeah, I'll look around for the girl. Probably just wait until she arrives, and if she doesn't, I'll just go sit in the back, I guess.
Yeah, make me a perception check.
Sure thing, I can do that for you. That is a natural 10.
That is a natural 10. You don't spot her.
Oh man, she probably thinks she can't. Can I just like look out the front? She's not like outside, is she?
Nope.
I frown. And then I sit down at, like, I guess like, I try to get as far up as I can now, but I guess there's probably not many seats left, so I'll take what I can get.
You take a seat on one of these pillars, sort of like further to the back. You can still sort of like you're close enough that you can feel like the draft coming in from the door, but you're like far enough inside this gorgeous building that you know you're not gonna miss much.
Yeah.
And as everyone sort of like takes their seats and the sort of like nervous buzz sort of begins to die down, again that sort of old wizened arbiter comes to the front and begins to talk to people. Since the old ages, the responsibility of power has fallen upon humanity to manage. Thanks to the efforts of the original Gateseekers, we stand here today in the great city of Dea Grace, not only alive but prospering. But this peace can only continue if the next generation is prepared to continue it, to fight for it, to will themselves forward to better us all. You will each be given a chance now to mindful reflection, our most resplendent allies of the Mirrored Realm. All of you here are aware that this chance comes with risk, and so we ask that you take your time to settle your mind before embarking. And as he sort of like finishes up, you can see he sort of like spends a moment sort of talking to some of the members at the front. And again, these arbiters, having taken payment, begin moving around, and you are past a very, very small fragment, barely
So have they
glowing.
taken the 10 gold from me?
Yes, they've taken the 10 gold from you.
Excellent.
And it feels the most painful to let that amount of money go and to be given such like a small, by comparison to what you have in your pocket, dull, finger-length fragment. And as they're sort of handed out, you see a number of people sit nervously, but there's a young boy sat next to you. You see him immediately just like take it and cut it across his hand, and almost instantaneously he sort of slumps forward. And several others in the room you begin to see sort of slumping or falling to the side on their pillows.
I think about the girl. I don't know where she is. She's probably decided not to take the test. I And I just think to I'm like, I've got to do this. I have to win. For my mum, for everyone. So I swap. I take the big fragment out, and I got my hand with that one.
Yeah, you see sort of like the slicing across your hand. You see almost like a fizzling kind of dissolving effect begin to wisp away this fragment, and as it does, you feel yourself fall backwards.
Here we go. Whee!
For a moment, you blink, and as your eyes open again, your vision doesn't return to you. You feel yourself falling, and you land against a pressure. It feels glass-like, and as you almost turn to get yourself up, your hands push down on it. And in applying this pressure, you feel it shatter underneath your weight, and shards of it begin to drift painlessly for you past your skin. When you open your eyes again to see light, you feel the cold sort of drifting of air pass over you, and you seem to be led in grass.
I sit up.
You sit up, and you're in a small valley of this strange silvery grass. It's soft, but it doesn't look right. It almost looks metallic. And as your eyes sort of drift up, you can see this like shifting, almost pinky gray gossamer sky. And as you're sort of like centering yourself, looking around at these rolling hills and the way that they stretch up around you in this valley, you hear a constant and rhythmic coming from a ridge to your north.
Can I investigate the area and then head towards the ledge if I don't find anything?
Yeah, make me an investigation check.
Sure. I'm like, does this mean I did it? I get a natural 20, 22 on my investigation.
You get a natural 20. You look around. This place is pretty sparse of anything other than like ground vegetation. You don't see any trees, and a lot of the distance is almost like blocked by like the ridge that like forms a couple 100 feet away from you. But as you're looking around, you look behind you and you can see something in the grass, maybe something invisible, you're not sure, is slowly pushing it outwards. You see the grass is sort of like, almost like there's a sphere that's like blowing the grass.
Can I pick it up?
No, this isn't, it's almost, there's an absence of something
Oh.
that is almost like air that is like pushing the grass. And with a nat 20, you begin to feel a familiar sort of pressure, though you can't really pinpoint what it is, begin to almost push against that area. And you instinctively almost take a step back. And again, that rhythmic beat sort of becomes louder and louder. And as it gets closer, you realize that it's no natural pulsing. It sounds like a drum. And that drum is joined by feet. Hundreds of feet. And you turn, and at first it starts as one individual clad in glassy armor, and then the entire ridgeline begins to emerge as a staged army lines up along it.
Okay.
From behind you, you feel a pulse suddenly burst out from this sphere and wafts the grass, and it gets faster and faster and faster, and that nothingness suddenly begins to coalesce into this strange black and white energy, and it rises into the sky. You hear the drum beats suddenly stop. And can you make me a dexterity saving throw as this sphere sparks and tendrils of black vines burst from the ground, and you hear a ugly snarling as creatures and mounds of flesh that then take form begin to spill forth from it. And you go flying. You are cast into the ground, and what did you get on your dexterity saving throw?
13.
13. As you recover from this, you are flung to the ground, and it takes a hot second for you to stand up, just long enough that you're still getting to your knees when you hear. And you realize you are caught in the hail of an arrow, set of arrows that have been sent forwards by this army.
Wait,
And there is thundering coming from behind you.
was that thing a gate? I think to myself as I spin
Uh,
around.
You think this to yourself as you spin around, and you can feel the ground suddenly shaking as this mass of tendril and glass and shapes and creature that is growing just begins to spread out into the environment, and behind you an army is closing in. You see several of these figures on a line of mounted creatures, almost horse-like, begin charging towards you. They don't even seem to have noticed you, or if they have, they're not stopping for you. And a huge clash takes place. You are very quickly caught in chaos, and I can need another dexterity saving throw from you as several of these mounted soldiers begin to charge past you, and you have to jump out of the way of these creatures.
I am still stumbling around. I only get an 8.
You get an 8. You almost have to throw yourself to the ground as one of these creatures whinnies and runs past you, and you see it sort of. You get knocked over, and it's somewhat of a blessing as a halberd swings above your head, and this strange creature, you don't even think it was fully formed, just gets cut into half. And as it splatters to the ground to the side of you, you see it take the form of just this liquid substance that seeps into the ground, and the ground begins to pulse. This main army, you watch the one that had jumped over you with the halberd. It charges past more of these creatures ahead of you, and it gets to the very crux, the very center point of this strange, now that you look at it, though you've never seen it, it matches the description of a gate. And its halberd begins to glow with this bluish white light, and it shatters into it. And all of a sudden, you see the gossamer sky blocked out as the entire area around this gets surrounded and locked in space. The rest of the army seems to be coming up the rear, and your thoughts are drowned out by the clashing of beast against metal, as the landscape, now contained to this small area, begins to pulse and shift, and you can see this grassy field slowly turning into a bog, as almost the ground beneath you feels like it's breathing and then sinks down, and mud begins to pool up around your feet. You are scrabbling to your feet to get away from this, and as you turn, a strange fox-like creature sort of jumps past you, and it lands maybe 10 feet away from you, and you can see that it has its mouth around where you assume the head of this armored figure is, and is violently shaking its head, and there's a tearing sound, and it just tosses a wet mound of something that catches your eye, but only for a moment, to the side as it locks on you. Its eyes are almost bug-like in the way that it looks in different directions and then focuses on you. And as this creature begins to form into what looks like a giant fox, you see this sickening third eye begin to squelch and open on its forehead. And it's gonna lunge at you.
No, I'm trying to get the fuck out of there. What the fuck?
Okay. I assume a 10 doesn't hit your.
Yeah. I will say you're rolling publicly. I assume you realize this.
Yes.
Okay. Does a 10 hit me? No.
A 10 doesn't hit you. This creature sort of you hear just a horrible screech, and it begins to charge towards you. It launches at you, and you kind of move back just in time that it kind of catches the side of your arm, but its teeth still almost feel not fully formed and squelchy, and you manage to sort of fling it away to the side, and it scatters, and it's almost like its legs suck into its body as it hits the ground, and then it almost springs them back out and takes form back on its feet. and what are you doing as it almost like snarls, and you see this like black spittle just turn to drool and get flung from its face as it turns to lunge for you again.
I'm looking for any a fallen warrior. Did they have a weapon, a halberd or something?
You turn, you see there is a blade,
A
a small sword.
I think back to what Malik trained me to do, to fight, how I would do that. But if I need a sword for that, so I'm gonna try and desperately scrabble towards that.
Yeah, you scrabble back. You feel like the horrible sucking sensation as this like a bog is clinging to your legs beneath you. You can see in the distance these creatures are fighting now on what looks like almost battlements, pulling themselves up from where they previously weren't. And yeah, you sort of you stumble over, you grab the sword, and as you turn around, can you make me a dexterity saving throw?
I can certainly endeavour to. It is a 10 natural.
It is a 10. You feel a sudden sharp pain as there's a and you are struck in the side by an arrow. You look down and you see this glassy pink and blue sheened arrow sticking out of you.
Oh god. Oh no.
You take 10 points of damage.
Cool. I get plinked.
And you feel a cold sensation cross your body.
Yeah. I hope I'm not poisoned. I'm at 72% health. I feel like 30% of my life force is blinked out, and I turn for I turn still trying to get to that sword. I assume that those arrows came from the soldiers.
Yeah, they just seem to be leasing another volley, and you've gotten caught in it.
Yeah, fuck.
There are several of them sort of slunking into the ground next to you, but a lot of them are sinking into this bog.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and move to grab the sword still, because I think that I'm gonna need it.
Yep, you grab the sword. It's a struggle for you to get to it, but as you get to it, you grab it, you turn around, you hear the sloshing as this thing is running for you, and it jumps into the air and sort of attempts to almost grapple you. Can you make me a strength saving throw?
Yeah, I can.
As you now have a weapon.
13.
13 is not enough. This thing, you have a weapon and you're sort of holding it at its throat, as it just seems to be cutting into it but doing nothing. It's almost like the blade doesn't go in enough that if this thing had an esophagus, it's not even reaching it, as its neck almost seems to be extending over where you're pushing it back to close the distance and try and snap at you. And as you take this blade, you try desperately to push against it. You feel the edge of it cutting into the skin at the palm of your hand. And suddenly, you feel two large sort of armored feet take purchase basically over the top of you. And you look up to see this just strange armored figure, one of the ones in the sort of pearline white and blue gossamer armor, and a head that is most definitely not human. It almost looks like two cells constantly dividing and reforming, and it's this brilliant sort of pinkish light, and it points at this thing, and you see this thing turns its head to look up at this new entity that has arrived to hopefully aid you, and as it goes to lunge, you see the same sort of sensation as when a spark shard disappears, begin to pull at this thing as it just dissipates.
I look up, the arrow still on my side, and just go, thank you.
It doesn't regard you with any words, but it does sort of look around somewhat frantically and reach a hand down towards you.
I assuming he's trying to help me up, I'll take his hand.
You take his hand, he like clasps you, your hand touches this like strange metal that you've never sort of felt before, and you find yourself, even as like a heavy guy that you are, pulled almost effortlessly to your feet and spun around, and this creature sort of stands back to back with you as you see more of these things sort of begin to form, and you are struck. You enter your stance, and as you do, you see one of these creatures in front of you almost begin to like, you almost see double for a moment as your head begins to spin, and you feel very not okay in this moment, and your vision begins to slip, and as you stagger and stumble and almost seem to fall against your will, you look back at this creature and you see him raise his sword out of like into one hand. It floats in the air in front of him, raises into the sky, duplicates again, continues to do this until there is a large network of the same sword in the sky, and as it is brought down towards the earth, your vision fades to black and you gasp back to life in this temple, much more sparse of people than it previously was.
I like reach towards my side where the arrow
You reach
was.
towards your side, and there's nothing there, but you still feel awful.
Oh, I still lost 10 health.
Yes.
Good. Is it like still bloody there?
No, there is no wound there, but you still feel pretty like awful inside. The only wound that you do have is the slice on your hand. That seems to, in your unconsciousness, have been bandaged.
Damn it. Did I fail? I do I have the other shard still?
You do have the other shard.
I guess like... Sorry, go on.
No, it's in your pocket, and as you sort of like reach in to touch it, you suddenly feel almost a connection that you never felt before. You feel like this is something you could pull on, but it's as you have this realization, you realize that you feel full.
Oh, how full? If you can numerically quantify it.
I can. You have your maximum internal, I believe. It's 100.
I have 100. Is this reflection spark?
You have 100 reflection spark.
Sheesh.
And you feel this new, strange well inside you that you weren't aware of before, that is brimming with energy. And as you sort of sit there contemplating this, you see the sort of elderly auditor, seeing that you're sort of back to consciousness, begin to approach you with a smile on his face. Are you all right, my boy?
No. My mind feels a bit fuzzy. But
that is quite normal.
Feeling... there was a fight where I ended up and I got hit by an arrow. And a knight saved me. It was a bit of a rush.
He seems to sort of stroke his beard and nod in understanding. So you have been to Myrror. It is a good thing. It means you have made a connection. You see he reaches into a small pouch at the front of his robe, and he pulls out a small leather bracelet with a single white bead on it. If you are looking to receive a gate license, there is a recruitment convoy set to leave from here this afternoon. It's recommended that any newly bound individuals looking to go into gate seeking take the initial training offered by the Confederate, if anything, just to help them adjust.
You're saying I passed?
If you are still here, my boy, you passed.
I'm overjoyed. I grin. I can't help but grin. And I take this. What is this?
It will denote you as having recently passed the test if you do go to the convoy. There are some members who have already taken this test, or perhaps more privately bound to a reflection prior to this event, who are still welcome to
I-
participate.
I turn and say, wait, you can have these done privately?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's not uncommon, especially for the higher ranking families.
A nod. Would you know them?
Not me personally. I'm afraid not. I'm merely a humble arbiter of this here hall.
I nod. Well, thank you. Thank you for helping.
You're welcome, boy. Go take the time you need to prepare. You don't have too long, but it should be enough to gather anything you might need.
I stand up. Where do I need to go? Sorry?
You see the sky ships across the way and the gate dock? They're the training convoy. There's about 6 of them. If you show up to them at midday, they'll be gathering people and they'll run you through everything that's going to happen. I think it's mostly just a training camp, a little over a week.
I nod. Is there any way I can send a message back to my house?
I mean, I'm not quite sure where you live, boy, but you could probably get back to your house yourself. You have a number of hours before they take off.
Oh. Sorry, it felt like much longer had passed.
He seems to find that quite amusing.
And I nod. Well, thank you.
You're welcome, boy.
Is anybody else
and
still in the
in-
room?
Yes, there are a number of people who are also sort of like waking up, also being attended to by more of these monk figures. You think sort of being sort of told the same thing as you. You see a number of them being handed bracelets. There are a number of individuals still in a sort of like slumped position. But as you sort of get up and turn to leave, you see in the corner a number of these like monks stood around and almost like tending to and moving the body of one boy with sort of slicked back brown hair that you recognize from earlier. You see a stream of blood coming down from his nose.
I think I know what happened there.
And they seem to be
Could this
quite
be
hurriedly.
max energy decay? Got a chance. Actually, what's the
you
average?
see- The average
Average
give or
health is
take
like,
is about 50.
About 50. So if he had slightly below average, then yeah, he could very reasonably kill himself. Yikes.
And you see them very quickly, sort of like people moving off to inform things and this person being moved.
With that in mind, I'm going to absorb the remaining energy I have.
You're going to absorb the remaining 10.
That's correct.
Okay.
I didn't know it was 10, but I'll absorb it.
Sorry. You absorb the remaining energy in your minor fragment, and immediately you take 10 points of internal spark damage as you
Wait.
feel just like this horrible, almost like electric shock feeling pulse through you.
But I thought
And
you could
that-
go over it.
You can. And that little section of you that feels full in your chest suddenly begins to feel very unstable and ravenous and overfilled. As you now have 110 spark.
Interesting. Well, so I
And
noticed
it
that if you
feels bad. So, to inform you what is happening, you now have 110 out of 100 max spark.
yeah.
Every turn, every 6 seconds you go over this, you will take 10 damage.
Oh.
Because you are 10 over.
Okay.
It's a bad feeling and it is painful.
Can I? I'm like, oh shit. Maybe I should have done that. Can I? So there's a level on top of energy decay. What the fuck? Was this written somewhere? Okay. Can I channel this energy somewhere quickly?
Make me an Arcana check.
Oh fuck me! Please don't fail this. I start to panic. It's a crit. Oh thank God for that.
It's a crit. You feel just like a sudden panic, and it like is rippling throughout your body. You feel just like a sensation of like power that you are unable to contain, and in that panic, you almost like internally suck in, and all of that energy gets almost consumed, and you are now aware of your overview of your ability. So anything that's sent in your character channel, you are now feeling around and know you have access to. You have 100 spark that you can put into your skill tree.
Okay, I need to... I don't have a... do I know where...
I can send you your skill tree. Give me a moment.
Oh, exciting.
Have
Have you already said this?
I think I have, yes.
Oh, I did not see it.
It's okay, it's okay. Let
Apologies.
me...
This has been really fun so far, by the way. I just want to let you know.
I'm so
100
glad.
spark. What happened to the 10 spark?
The 10 spark has gone as well. You've consumed 110. Whatever you had currently contained,
Yeah.
You consume.
Okay, so I have 110 spark to allocate.
Yes.
And I have no...
You have 110 spark. And you have no spark anymore inside you.
Interesting. Well, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have to be immediately allocated? Out of curiosity.
In canon, yes. Mechanically, no.
Okay, I will...
If you can wait till the end of sessions to apply this, and I won't penalize you for it.
No, I'm going to do it right now. If possible.
Yeah.
That can come in here. Skill tree players version. Oh my god. Oh, you give me a physical form tree as well. That's hilarious.
Uh-huh.
I assume there's meant to be lines going down.
Yeah, there'll be lines going down when you...
Holy, that's so expensive. Influencer spark. Oh god, they actually do care about types as well.
The physical tree does, yep.
Yee. And there's no chronomancer ones, so F and chat there. Well, they're like empty. Oh my god. Okay, alright, hold up. I'll read out what I have options for. So my passive ability. Okay, oh my gosh. There's a few things in a few places. Let me move things around so I have a better grasp. Interesting. Hold the line. So I think because of the way things are on my end, there have been some technical difficulties.
It's okay.
No. There we go. Sorry. It now recognizes that that skill tree does indeed exist. And so we have the passive risk and reward. Your critical hit threshold for melee attacks is reduced by 1. Critically failing a hit roll causes you to deal no damage. Epic. Could you send that to me in text form? Because I have it as an image, but I'd love to put that on my sheet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to immediately go put my threshold down at 19. Big. Then double or nothing is inactive. As an action, choose a tangible, non-magical, non-living object that fits within a 40-foot range of you and declare double or nothing. Roll 1d100. On a result of 49 or lower, the target of your ability ceases to exist. On a result of 50 or higher, the target of your ability is perfectly duplicated, though appears visually mirrored. Double or Nothing has 3 uses. All uses recover fully upon a long rest. Rigged Odds. As a reaction, when a dice roll is made, you can expend 1 charge of Rigged Odds to increase or decrease the result of the dice roll by 1. You start with 3 charges of Rigged Odds. All charges recover fully upon a long rest. Then, on the skill tree, I have 3 avenues of growth. And they're all 100 spark in value, which is... Oh, God. I do actually, in fairness, we don't know how much 100 spark is worth. Because, did I massively misplay by using the Chronomancer fragment there? Because I don't know...
I think so.
No? Because I don't know if the 100 spark came... Like, if that was where the energy came from or not. I don't know. So, passive ability. So this is for the risk and reward, I'm guessing? Or it's just... yeah.
Yes, sorry, I forgot to update the name of that.
No, you're all good. I could figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Calculated risk I. When critically failing a hit roll, now only deal 10% of your damage instead of no damage. Not an amazing opener, but I know there's juice behind it, so I'm definitely considering it. Double or Nothing. Gain an additional use of Double or Nothing from Betting Limit I. And then Gambler's Grasp I. Increase the range of Double or Nothing from 40 to 50 feet. Okay, pretty good. Then Rigged Odds. When using Rigged Odds, you can now increase roll results by 2 instead of 1. And then when using Rigged Odds, you can now reduce roll results by 2 instead of 1. Oh, I see. Now that is interesting. Oh, where do I put my 110? Oh, my gosh. Betting limit is a nice choice because it gives us an additional use of Double or Nothing, which could be really valuable for us. But increased odds is pretty good too, letting us rig roll results. I am going to... Oh, dude, this is such a hard choice, man. If I only had more visibility. I think risk and reward might be really, really good. But I don't know how much I'm gonna get right now. If I can guarantee lots of spark in my future, then I would take that immediately. But because I don't know what's going on, the safe early game bet is to take Increase Odds I, which is what I do.
Hell yeah.
Does that mean I gain access to know what's next?
You do at the end of the session.
At the end of the session, god darn it. I'm limited to this.
Uh-huh.
No. Okay. Alright, okay. I take that, and I'm left... Oh, and I'll put 10 points into calculated risk. Why not?
Wonderful. Yeah, you feel this sucking sensation as this energy pulls into you, and you feel just almost like a pulse throughout your body as it spreads to a place that you isn't tangible, but you are aware of, and you feel something in you strengthen. And that's all the sensation you get right now. You know you have a few hours before this convoy sets off, in time to prepare. So where are you going from here as you, I assume, step back outside of this temple?
Well, I step outside and feeling lighter now, as suddenly I'm no longer like burdened by energy decay. I will. I'll probably just revel in the moment for a moment, have a look around, see who's here, see if I can spot that girl, and if not, I'm gonna make my way to. I'm gonna make my way to the place, you know.
You're gonna make your way back home?
I'll go home first.
Wonderful. You you step out, you feel just like the unfiltered sunlight on your face being in Hightown. A flock of birds flies past and draws your eyes to the other side of this clearing where 6 skyships are like firmly docked up. And you feel like your future is aboard one of those. You look around, you cast your eye about the plaza. There are groups of people sort of excitedly talking amongst one another, but no shock of purple hair.
He's probably having a private thing somewhere.
And you begin to head back down.
So he'll probably be at the gathering, right?
You have no idea.
Like a new recruit. Surely she would be. Or maybe she wouldn't be. Oh, goddamn. I just want to give her gold back. Okay, sure. I guess I head home with nothing better to do.
You head home. You get down there. You know that the Arbiter mentioned something about this taking a little over a week. You're not sure if you need to pack or what the deal is. But you head back down through Midtown. You're not given any grief. As you get back down into sort of the familiar weaving streets of the Traveler Trap. And you find yourself stood feeling fresh, feeling lighter, feeling stronger in front of your beaded door.
I'll head inside.
You do. You see that Ingrid's not around. She's probably off like getting groceries or something. But your mother's door is still, the beads are sort of like flowing in the wind there, and a couple of children are definitely around, sort of like drawing with chalk.
I'll head into my mom's room before the kids notice I'm back.
You head in. She's there. She seems to be asleep, but she always kind of seems to be asleep, so you're quite sure you could sort of rouse her.
I think I will.
You can see that a good like half of the bundle of the herbs is gone. And you pull up a little stool and you sort of like shake her, and she sort of begins to stir. And as she sort of comes to, she seems a little dazed, but when her eyes fall on you, she smiles. And she goes, "You're back."
Sorry.
Reaches a small hand up towards you.
I managed to do it after all.
I never had any doubt in you. What's your plan now then, my boy?
Well, there's some enrollment thing I have to do. It'll take me about a week. Will you be okay if I leave for that long?
I'll be fine. I'm tougher than I look, She kind of pulls her fist weakly. And then sort of chuckles and lets it drift back down onto your shoulder. Your father would be proud. I remember him talking about his training week. It was good fun, apparently.
Oh. He's hoping.
You'll have to tell me what it's like. I never went to mine.
You had an ability?
A minor one. Nothing of importance anymore, I don't think.
What was it?
You see, she gets a little sheepish. It was an influencer ability.
Oh, Ben.
I had to catch your father one way or another. She gives you like a cheeky grin.
Ah.
No, I was just never my scene. I never got along with the gates.
I nod. The sickness she has, I didn't think it could, like, is this like a... Can you tell me more about this, like what I know?
Yes, so you know she has something called spark bleed, which is... It's a very common illness that you've never had to deal with, but you think you got it when you were younger, maybe. A lot of people who live around the
Yeah.
gates or who have like been exposed to the gates get it when they are sort of like when like a wound or like their blood is sort of like exposed to the energy around a gate, and it's kind of like chickenpox in a sense of if you get it early in life, it doesn't like really do anything to you other than make you like it puts you like out of commission for 2 days or so, and it gives you like a bad rash. But you know that if you get it later in life, it gets like worse and worse the older you get. And you know that your mother got it sort of around the time that she was pregnant with you, and she hadn't had it prior.
And it hasn't passed all this time?
No, it's just gotten worse and worse.
Well, I guess I'd just talk to her about the girl that I saw in the market, and basically, say that I'm kind of annoyed. I need to buy them because they gave me 10 gold, and they almost said they didn't need to.
It could have been a gift. Maybe you should keep it.
Well, I might have to, I say, and I smile and look over to the pile of things. It's gonna run out if I leave you for a week, won't it?
It will. But I think Ingrid could take care of it. Not Ingrid, sorry, Imelda. We've got enough in the stores to last for a little while.
The stuff I saw today was so strange. But in a way, it fills me with a little bit of hope. And the stuff I saw today can exist. Well, maybe there's something I can... I guess what I'm trying to say is, if the stuff I saw today exists, then maybe other things I thought impossible could exist as well. Like a way to...
She smiles, and you see she sort of sits herself up with a bit of effort. The gates are fascinating places, so full of life and opportunity. If it's what you want, then I hope that you can grasp all that opportunity has to offer for you.
I'm still not leaving you behind.
I don't expect you to. It's not in your nature to do that. But there's an opportunity before you. Don't miss it. She sort of pinches your cheek a bit. I'll hold on for a week. Promise. And she sort of gives you a playful little pinky.
Okay. I'm going to take 2 gold from my bag and give it to her so that she can... will this be enough to buy more? Like, more things?
Oh, no, certainly, but you really don't need to. And like her, yeah, it's the usual sort of like, you should be spending it on yourself. It's wasted on me. But she would reluctantly take it and smile. You're a good boy. And her face sort of feels a little conflicted as she looks down at the coins and her thumb sort of passes over them. Your rank. They haven't given it to you yet, have they?
I don't think so.
There's something I think I should talk to you about, but I think it can wait until after then. You don't need it weighing on your mind whilst you go to train, do you? And she ruffles your hair and puts the coins down on the nightstand next to her.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. It's... Depending on the circumstances, it might not be important. So don't fuss about it.
Anything you say is important. You give her a little knock.
Well, I'm glad you think so. Well, if you're going on a training excursion, you might want to have a few things ready to go.
Yeah,
sure
I plan
if-
to pack in a moment.
They probably will have weapons for you there. At least if your father's to be believed.
Well, that's a good thing then, because I don't have any weapons here.
Might be a bit much to ask to loan one from Malik. I think he's got his hands full with your new ward.
They've been already?
He's been badgering him about it. The poor boy couldn't wait.
I shake my head.
I think I heard him yell something about being your protege.
Oh dear. Yeah, I suppose that's something I don't have to worry about at least.
I think he'll keep the rest of them well in line. You don't need to worry.
I pat her on the shoulder. Well, I'll go pay off the loan that I asked for, and hope that girl isn't too upset that I'm using her money to do it.
I'm sure she won't be.
Oh, we'll find out. And with that, I'll give them I probably stay with them until they feel sleepy again, and then probably move on.
Yeah. It doesn't take too long, but just before she sort of begins to get sort of dreary and nod off, you hear sort of a knock at your door, and you see Mosley sort of poking his head around with a handful of oranges.
Come in, come.
Ah, how you doing, boy? Hello, Ava. And she gives him a smile and a small nod as she is sort of propped up against her pillow. Hello, Mosley. He passed. Did you hear? And he regards her with a smile, but even you can see the sort of somber look as he sort of comes to sit down next to you and hands you an orange and seems to begin peeling one for her.
Sorry, friend.
Did you now?
And I hand him 2 gold pieces.
Well, shit. And he grabs it, sort of tuffles it into his small tunic that he wears.
Nothing gained, nothing lost for you, though.
Well, a good worker lost for me. But I suppose it's all the better if you've got ability about you, boy. What did you get in the end?
I haven't really played around with it.
Oh, keeping things close to your chest, are you?
I've seen what it can do. And honestly, it scares me a little bit.
Try not to get too intimidated by it. If you've got a good one, that opens a lot of doors for you. Certainly won't leave you selling oranges for a living. As he sort of like almost spitefully throws an orange peel across the room, and gives the sort of like peeled orange to your mother before going and setting about peeling another one.
Thank you for bringing these.
I don't think anything of it. It was the best stock He sort of like rubs his nose and looks to the side. Wasn't able to sell it, so it has nothing lost.
I appreciate it nonetheless.
And even as you're peeling them, they look dead fresh. And you...
Yeah,
you enjoy some oranges for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not long before your mother sort of like signals for everyone to sort of like leave as she gets some rest again. And you see Mosley sort of go and start talking to Imelda. And you get that lovely feeling that people get from a sense of community, where even though you know you're not going to be there, between Nico and Imelda and Mosley, you think there will be people here looking out for the residents of the Tangled Traveler.
Well, I'll look over to Nico if he's here.
He's not here.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then. Well, that was all of my goals, so I'll go find Imelda then.
Yeah, I mean she's talking to Mosley, and she smiles and gives you a nod as you sort of like join the conversation. You passed then?
It would appear so.
Oh, that's so good of you. And she sort of grabs your cheeks and jiggles you about a little bit. I always knew you had a strength about you. You always had that vibe.
I'm going to be away for a little bit. A week, should be.
Mm-hmm. That's standard. We'll make sure she's well looked after. Don't you worry.
I gave
You
her
just
2
focus on
pieces to get more supplies.
I'll see that that's put where it needs to go. You focus on figuring out everything you've got at your disposal now.
A nod.
You seem... You need not worry. I really will handle everything.
I think it'll be okay. I'm honestly just a little shocked that things have gone the way they have.
Well, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, eh?
Well, there goes my promising career as a fruit merchant.
You hear Mosley sort of like snort and stifle a laugh at that. Well, if you decide gate seeking isn't your forte, I'll always take you.
Well,
Could use a ward. Getting old.
toss me an orange.
He tosses you an orange.
I look at it and just say, double or nothing.
Roll me a d100.
Oh, please. Oh, yes. 98.
98. You're holding it in one hand, and as you're sort of like staring at it, you say double or nothing, and as the words leave your lips, you almost feel like a tingle on the edge of your tongue, and you watch this orange just like perfectly duplicate to a second one to the side of it, and then drop off your hand onto the floor, and just dook, 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 dook.
Oh, I'm expecting this to happen, so I'm
You
just
catch
gonna
it.
hold it catch it with my other hand.
Mm-hmm. You catch it with your other hand, and you see. Oh shoot! You see both of them are pretty taken aback. Imelda goes, "Oh my," and Mosley goes, "Well, that's bullshit. You'll be a way better fruit merchant than me."
And I take a bite out of the original.
Yeah, it's great. It's fresh. It's sweet. Oranges are in season at the moment.
Mhm. Now, here's a question: is the other one safe to eat?
You have no idea.
I don't know either. So I'm going to, I look at it and say, my ability is a simple one. I can make more things out of stuff that already exists.
Well, in Lowtown, that'll get you far.
Well, think what I could do with a gold coin, huh?
Well, if you do fancy giving me 4 gold coins instead of 2, I will take it.
I wouldn't want to go break the economy now, would I? Let me get a handle on this whole ability thing first. You can now start to see why this is dangerous.
Go steady on the fragments. I've heard people can go a little, loopy on them.
Well, it seems I got a bit lucky. Might have a higher tolerance than most.
Attaboy. You come from good stock. And he sort of slaps your shoulder.
So I've been told.
Now go on. You should beat it while the sun is still low in the sky.
Well, I turn to Melda and say, good luck with the others.
Now be well cared for. And good luck on your trip. I hope it goes well.
I have 2 oranges still. What do I do with the spare one? Do I give it back? No, I'm gonna take it with me.
Hell yeah.
I'm just gonna take 2 oranges. I'll be like, bye. Thanks for everything.
And
yeah,
you several children, wave to you and ask you what it was like, and you get berated by 100 questions as you set out to leave. And Imelda sort of sequesters all of them by the door, and they wave to you as you head back out into the city. Is there anything else that you would like to gather or do before you
well,
go?
I gather some clothes and stuff.
Yeah, you pack the bare essentials, which is most of what you own.
Do I have anything? I don't think I have anything else, right? I technically have 6 gold pieces to my name. I could double or nothing my gold, but that's a quick way to have 0 gold pieces to my name. So this is the problem. You give me a gambler's ability. Technically, I have infinite money right now, to a degree. But I also have no money right now. If I start thinking like that, do you know what I mean? I think the thing with double or nothing is, I think I plan to hold on to that ability, but only use it in very special cases until I've mastered rig odds to a degree where I can deterministically use double or nothing. That's like my big hope. I don't know how close I can get to that. That would be insane if it's possible. That'll truly be an insane power. But
well, as you think through it, you think back to the creature.
Yeah, I mean they could do it, right? Because they made not just one thing; they made hundreds of them. So it must be possible. Then I truly have a powerful ability. And I should be careful who I tell it to. I start thinking of ways that I can play off of having another ability. I've already lied to them because I didn't tell them about the downside. Although I did say double or nothing, so maybe they can guess.
The idea of a fruit emitter does come to your mind for a brief moment.
Well, that's only going to work once. I take another bite out of my fruit. Maybe I can use risk and reward for something. That my ability is I'm just good at hitting stuff well. But I think about this as I walk back up to the airships.
You get back up there, and again, a much larger crowd of people have now seemed to form. You find yourself sort of like, especially as you get up there, swept up in groups of people. A number of them seem definitely like heavier packed than you, donning sort of simple leather armor and a smattering of weaponry. But you seem to be sort of in the majority for lightly packed individuals. And as you begin to approach,
Wait, minority or majority? Sorry.
sorry, you're in the majority.
Okay, so a lot of people have light packs.
A lot of people have like almost nothing on them. It's
Okay.
very few people who are like actually carrying
Okay.
weapons or armor or anything.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought it would be that way around.
And as you approach, the sound of skyship engines just fills the air, and it becomes very difficult to hear the many dock hands sort of yelling directions at you as you sort of begin to follow the flow of the crowd. But everyone does seem to be funneling up towards a large set of 6 ships. They're all sort of, you see them all connected to each other at the moment by like sturdy but precarious plank bridges. But there seem to be like a number of deck hands sort of like helping people across and moving things.
Well, nobody's fallen off that I know. And I try and cross.
Yeah, it is fine for about the first 3 steps, and as you sort of like, you're kind of uncomfortably on the edge of this like little plank as you sort of go up, and you realize that you are stepping almost off of the city of Deo Grace as you get past that, and you're hit by like this horrible sense of vertigo as you catch a glimpse of the colossal drop before you. But you manage to sort of like refocus yourself to the lurching feeling in your stomach, and you do safely get aboard the front of the ship, where people seem to either be like lingering or kind of like moving on to some of the other ships. But a lot of the people who are lingering, you see, do happen to have the same sort of like white beaded bracelet as you.
Okay. I don't see the girl, do I?
Make me a perception check.
Ooh, there's a chance. That is a 14.
14. Yeah, you are you're being sort of like pinned in right now, by people, and everyone's sort of like shuffling around. But as you're sort of like caught in this group, sort of figuring out where to go, out of the corner of your eye, sort of on the edge of this group of people, you do see a sort of flicker of the purpley kind of blue hair.
Oh my gosh, I moved towards them.
You begin to when you are sort of like interrupted by a voice that finally seems to be able to rise above all of the noise. And you see a muscular woman with sort of like dirty blonde hair and neat white slacks shouting towards your kind of like collective group. And she goes, "Right, everyone listen up. If you've got a green band, you're the sorry. If you've got a green band, you'll find a spot in the flank ship. If you're sporting blue, you're over with Captain Comley on the left there. If you're white, hold tight. You're with me." And she begins to sort of like march around. You see, she has this like gnarly scar that goes from the bottom of her jewel to just below one of her eyes, which is covered by an eye patch, and emblazoned on it is like a golden version of the Confederates insignia. And the crowd that you're with slowly begins to sort of like split off onto the other ships, and you do have a little bit of leeway to move. But once again, this woman starts sort of like addressing the lot of you. She goes, "Right, my name is Captain Towler. I'll be your overseer for this training expedition. If you're on this ship, then you know why you're here. If you don't, I suggest you get off quickly. Any and all luggage you take with you is your responsibility. If it falls off, we will not be stopping. This also goes for you. This ship is bound for a military outpost that's surrounded by a neutralized D-rank gate. This area will be your base camp for the next few weeks. You will be tested upon arrival and tested again upon leaving to determine whether you qualify for a license. I suggest you use that time to get to know your peers, your superiors, and your limits. Please keep a firm hold of the railing or your neighbor as we approach the acceleration arrays. Do not walk around until we are in free flight. Any questions? And she seems to look across the crowd. You see a couple of people start to raise their hands, and she goes, "No? Then welcome aboard the Golden Hand. We'll be departing shortly." And she very much like pulls over this like army-looking coat and like goes off to immediately start shouting at another dockhand.
Do I see Purple-haired girl leaving?
You do, now that the
No.
crowd is sort of like
God damn
thinned,
it.
not leaving on the ship, but sort
Oh.
of like very much like clinging to a railing, kind of looking over the edge with an expression of like,
Oh,
oh
shit,
shit,
she's
that's
gonna
like a
fucking die.
long grab.
I'm gonna immediately like hating my step over there. 'Cause I can imagine she's gonna throw herself off.
Yeah, absolutely. You look over, and it's a look of like oh shit, but it's also a look of just deep fascination, right?
Psycho behavior, I get it.
And yeah, she's sort of like over there, just clinging to a railing as everyone seems to be like slowly moving to one side of the ship or another and holding on.
Yeah, I quickly make my way over and I go, "Hey, you."
Ah, hello. I wasn't expecting to see you again.
Yeah, well, I had to talk to you about something, but and then, do we really have to be this close to the edge? I say. Did you hear what they said about the acceleration array?
Yeah, they said to hold on to the railing.
Yeah, not the one by the window. I say.
Well, I mean, I just happened to be the closest to. You know, you're probably right. Let's go over by the mast.
Yeah, I know. Thankfully, you
and
can see
then
like
she-
I have concern, but it's like also like it's kind of in my voice. That I'm like, please, can we go move somewhere
Yeah.
else?
And she'll sort of like shuffle over and quite firmly sort of like grab onto it. I am sorry, I don't think I got your name before. If I'd have known you were taking the tests, I would have stuck around longer. I'm Isla.
Isla, it's good to meet you. My name is Vyre. You
You're
you passed then? That's
oh
good.
yeah, yes. I passed a little while ago. I was just coming here for some paperwork stuff.
I was worried that, you know, without the gold, you wouldn't be able to take the test. So I was trying to find you.
You see, she seems a little confused for a moment. What gold?
You gave me 10 gold for instructions the other day,
Oh, yes. No, that was for you.
but he kind
Sorry,
of.
was that not enough? I can give you. I've got some. As she sort of like begins to
I
rustle
kind of
around.
like power it. No, that's very generous, but it took me 3 years to. Well, 3 years, and I only managed to get 8 gold.
You see, she seems to sort of like bite her lip and seem a little sheepish. She sort of recomposes and grabs the railing again. Ah, well, I've been, saving for quite a while too.
I know.
It must have
Clearly.
just been the wrong pouch. And she sort of rubs the back of her neck.
That's what I was worried about, but I'm glad. Well, that makes the next bit easier. I say. I had to spend 4 of that gold, so I'm really glad you didn't need it back.
Oh no, I mean that's perfectly fine. Say, you didn't happen to see? I had a fragment.
Was,
I had a shard, I think.
was that valuable?
I think so.
Yeah, I found that.
Oh, do you have it?
Well, I say, I think I like look down a little bit. I'm like, I cut my hand with it.
And as you say that, she's like, "What?" And can you make me a strength saving throw?
Yeah.
As all of a sudden the ship sort of like, and you see that like plank is brought up, and there's almost like a moment of like visible dropping in the ship.
Yeah.
As it begins to pull away, and at quite some speed, you see these
16.
like almost thin like wings on the side of the ship begin to as this convoy of 6 skyships begins to take off. 16. You hold on fine. She, however, sort of does
Oh,
not and
I'm
is
gonna.
immediately
Can I
sort of like flung forward into you.
I, okay, that's fine. As long as it's into me.
And you just hear like the clinking of things inside her bags, and she's like, "Oh shit, sorry," and she regathers herself up at this
You're
little
making a
banister.
habit out of this.
My apologies. I'm not used to being quite so thrown around.
Well, I'm just glad we're not by that edge.
Yeah, that was a smart choice. Man, I've known you for
So,
all of 2 seconds. You're already a boon.
Isla, I take it you're from one of the big families.
From here? No, no, not at all. I'm not from here at all.
Well, I mean, you flew in, so.
Yes, from elsewhere.
I not. Yes, you don't have to be cagey with me. I'm from Lowtown.
You see that like she smiles and nods, but that like goes completely over her head.
Ah, you don't get it. I point down to the slums from Lowtown. I guess maybe up because we're down now, right? I know because we're taking the
yeah,
airships from.
You're taking the
high-
airships from like very high up, so you point down, and it's just kind of like you're not even sure if you can like see buildings like where you're pointing. It's just sort of like the shadowy bit.
Yeah.
And she's like,
See down there.
"Oh, you live down by the small dock. Well, that's nice. Out of the sun, at least, I'm sure."
Living in the gloom. It's lovely.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate the shade. The heat's much worse.
You don't have to make it. I understand it's not the best place to live. And I don't have
I
that
mean,
many
I wasn't trying to
options.
insult.
I'm not insulted. Plus, it's clear that you're used to, more grander places. What's it like?
Yeah, you see, she sort of like sweats and looks to the side a little bit. I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, you're right. I mean,
I mean, I have a little bit saved up for the ship, but I'm really, I wouldn't know about the great houses or anything like that. Why? What made you think otherwise?
no, maybe it's just me. My inexperience, you see. I spent a lot of my time down there, so I guess even, a little bit more wealth looks like a lot to me.
Yes, that makes sense. I think.
I know.
Well, I hope this could be maybe a new start for you. A
Well,
lot of opportunity in this sort of gate training that's offered from Day of Grace, I hear.
that's the big hope.
Do you know yet, sort of... she kind of like puts a hand in front of her mouth and leans in a little conspiratorially. Do you know what you can do? I've tried to talk to some people, but they're awfully cagey about it.
I know what I can do.
What can you do?
Well, it's complicated to say the least, or perhaps it's awfully simple. Either way, I'm pretty confident if I tried, I could make things really difficult for us right now. It's an ability that's... I'm not sure how cagey I should be with you. I don't know how this works. I was going to just tell you, but now you told me people are keeping it secret. Should I be keeping it secret?
No, maybe not. I won't give it a...
You won't keep
If
my
you tell me,
secret?
no, I will. I misspoke. I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours, and then we can be cagey from everyone else. That would be nice.
That sounds like it could be a plan. Oh well, what have you got?
Oh, me first. I mean, you could. It's more polite, I think, for a gentleman probably to.
To go first? I'm pretty confident
probably,
it's always been the other way around.
Well, I.
Maybe
cannot-
I'm wrong, I am from Lowtown after all.
Oh, that's not what I meant to imply at all.
No, I know you didn't.
Well, oh,
Don't
damn
tell
it.
me.
All right.
An influencer, right?
No? Well, is that the pink one?
Yeah, I think so. I say,
Well, I'm not the pink one. I can say that firmly.
you had the blue fragment.
Hmm.
Does that mean
I'm a blue one.
you're a blue one?
Hmm.
Do you know what that's called?
The blue one? I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry.
Oh, I only know because my mother was an influencer and she told me.
Oh.
Surprisingly, not that long ago, in fact.
Or maybe she was being cagey for a reason. Maybe your mother's super powerful.
It's possible. Apparently, my father was.
Who was your father?
I say my father's name.
You
Of
don't
which
know your father's name.
I don't know my own father's name.
You don't know your father's name.
My mother just decided that it's best he doesn't know. But I know he went on a
Oh no,
legendary quest.
shit, no, you.
That's okay. If I don't
You
know my
probably
father's name, I don't know my
no.
father's name. Just let me.
I think you know his first name. You know
Okay.
his name is. You know his name was Aaron.
But so did I take my mother's surname?
You have no idea. You just have always had the surname that you've had.
Fine, I guess I'll say Aaron Tulset.
Hmm.
Does that ring a bell?
Um, I don't think so. Not for me, at least. Maybe someone from one of the high families here might know if he was. Was he? She kind of winces and like looks you up and down. Was he also from
Lowtown.
Lowdown?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. He's not around anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In fact, I don't think I knew him for the majority of my life. Did I have any childhood memories, or are they like gone
No,
before I was born?
he was gone before you were born.
Gone before I was born, I'm afraid.
Ah,
Got tied up in some high, some big important gate. Nobody
Oh.
really made it out. Also, I've been told.
And you're still eager to train to be a gate seeker. That's
Well,
awfully brave of you.
my mother needs medicine, you see. And
Ah,
I need gold. But don't worry, some of your gold has gone towards her medication already, so she thanks you through me.
you're welcome.
It's okay.
I'm sure I have some spare if you'd like some more. It was awfully helpful. Your directions.
Oh, it feels like robbery to take it from you now. At least let me earn it.
All right then. And you hear Captain Towler sort of like yell something to the group along the lines of like something hold the fuck on.
Oh yeah,
As
I kind of I guess take her arm this time.
yeah, and she seems quite thankful and is very prepared to like cling to you for dear fucking life. As you reach sort of this like large metal disc that's like inset into this like huge wall that comes up to about half the height of the city of Deagrace, but isn't connected to it. It's kind of like an outer ring. You know there are like large cannon-esque contraptions on the top of this that occasionally go off to fend off sort of big waves of beasts. But it's been relatively quiet for a while, at least around Grace, because you're so high up. But you see this convoy begin to like shift into a single file line, and as you're the second ship in this line, and as the first one gets to this what they called the acceleration array, there's this coalescing of almost like red and white light, and a sudden poof, and you watch the ship at like breakneck speed suddenly lurch forwards, and by the time you blink it's like in the distance,
Oh,
and you see your ship slowly approaching and all of the dock hands seem to like properly lock down.
yeah, I feel my stomach lurch in like the anticipation of it, and
Mhm.
I turn to What? Ali?
Isla.
Isla. I need to write.
Mhm.
I. There you go. Sorry. I'm trying to like manage my notes at the same time. Okay. I don't know. It's not that bad, right? You've traveled a lot, right?
Well, we didn't come through the big holes, we went through the little ones. And as she sort of like says that with a look of like minor terror on her face, you feel like her nails sort of dig into you. As you reach this thing, you see the sort of like red light begin to hum. You see up ahead, like, there is a slightly like younger, well-muscled girl kind of like hunkered down next to Captain Towler, who sort of like stands up a little and has like this like crazed look of like fuck yeah on her face, and Captain Towler just sort of like grabs her and yanks her down. And poof, make me an Arcana check as you feel this like weird lurching sensation, and either side of you, your vision just starts to blur.
There's no way I can like try and siphon some energy, can I?
We don't know.
I guess I'll find out. I get a 13.
13. You don't feel like you can interact with it, but you do feel like this as you get into it. A similar coalescing sensation of energy to what you felt in your vision, but much, much smaller. And vroom, your ship is launched forward. You see the city of Deagrace behind you as your eyes sort of like open against like the wind that like hits your face, just like very, very quickly becoming a small silhouette in the distance. Clouds begin to whip past you, and as again distantly you hear a and another ship sort of like comes up behind you. The three ships in the ship you're on, the Golden Hand, begin to take this almost like V-shaped formation, as the landscape around you just begins to blur past. This like stone set of like carved mountains that you've lived in your whole life gives way to these like green overgrown riverlands and these like lovely hillsides. And you see sort of like below you, there are kind of like almost like areas of torn land that are being reclaimed by nature, but you go by too fast to really see them in any detail. And after a few minutes, the whole convoy of 6 are in free flight, and Captain Towler seems to sort of give the word that people are free to settle down for a hot second. You can let go of your railings, and you can breathe.
I let go of the railing reluctantly, but I do.
Yeah, she tells you to sort of like lock in. It should be about an evening's trip until they sort of like descend upon the training space. So you'll be traveling overnight, but you should get there early morning. So for the moment, you have a little bit of peace, and I think as you begin to settle in and you set out on this like whatever the future has in store for you, for today, we'll end the session here. Thank you very much.
Sure?
I'm very sure. I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm sure. I'm sorry, baby. But I'll see you next Saturday, as you arrive at your training camp.
I gotta look away when you're staring me down with daggers. I'm not sure what to say, but no matter what, it don't matter. The comical light got me wide-eyed this time. I touch your tongue tied, go ahead and make up my mind. Ooh, lips are turning blue, chemicals in you, trying to take me out of my body. Ooh, with the Panasonic view, looking right through she say why? Know you got plans, but I got the time. Heard you told a friend, now I gotta mend a little bit more than we like to pretend. If it's alright,